Do they see me? I don't see the light on.
Yeah, they can.
You're good.
Oh, okay. I call to order the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee on Thursday, April 20th, 2023. First on the agenda is volunteer appreciation, Larry Jackson.
Cookies.
Start over here and
Yeah, they're
Y'all have
pass them around.
napkins.
Debbie says she's already.
yeah, those are the first ones out, so they get the cookies first.
Again, my name's Larry Jackson. I'm a resident of Kaiser, and I am on the volunteer coordinating committee, which probably each one of you, I know each one of you have come in front of our committee and wanted to sit on the committee for the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. So I am here thanking you from the city of Kaiser and myself as a resident of Kaiser. And I also want to say thank you to all of you for being here and being a part of your community. And that's why we all are here. Why I live in Kaiser is because I love it and have all my life. And I want to say thank you again from the city of Kaiser, your city councilors, your community. We appreciate what you do. Thank you. And I'm taking no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
And I'll just double down on what you said and thank you, because there's so many volunteers here in the audience that we see every time, and I've seen many of you at other places, so I don't know when you're ever home, but we do appreciate all you do to keep the city afloat.
All right, so Tammy, your voice is really good.
I know, I'm sorry. You tell me that every time. I don't like my voice, that's the problem. Okay, I motion to accept the approval of minutes, but actually I have a correction. So before we motion,
I move that we accept the minutes of, whatever it was, March 2023.
I think Tammy said she had a correction.
I have a correction first. Under committee member input,
Yes?
after Brenda brought up the flags, it says that I interjected that I have a source. I don't remember even being here when we discussed that.
Okay, I will.
Did
cross
someone
that
else
out.
bring that up?
In
Here.
Do you remember that, Brenda?
Yeah, a source,
Uh-huh,
that would have been Hirsch.
it was Hirsch? Okay, I'll change that then.
Perfect, thank you.
Uh-huh,
You can get credit, Tammy.
But I wasn't even here, and I don't have a source.
Now I move that we accept the minutes of March 2023
as corrected.
as corrected.
So I-
Second.
Do I say something else?
Thanks, y'all.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting minutes are accepted. Oh, I was going to hand it over. I got you a cookie. Next on the agenda is appearance of interested citizens. So I just go down this list? Okay. First on our list is Rick and Katie Brady.
How's everybody doing today?
We're doing well.
You hear me okay? I can't tell if you can hear. Could you be a little?
It is, but you told,
Okay. So I just had some concerns about a few of the traffic things that we have and see what we can actually do as far as putting something up to help that. And what it is that we live on 5177 Cortland Street, and our house backs up to Chamawa. I guess it's called the Chamawa Curve now because there's been so many accidents there. And so what I'm looking at, and I had talked to Bill Lawyer a while back about something like that, and he told me to maybe come here and suggest things. So what's happening right now is that the traffic is moving so fast through that area before you get to the actual turnabout. And what you guys have now is a 35-mile-an-hour traffic when you're coming off of Lock Haven, and it slows down to 30. But as we know, everybody that sees 30 are not going to get pulled over for 34 or 35. And then some of the people decide they want to go 40, 45. And we're pulling off of Lucinda. And we've got the traffic that's already flowing from the traffic circle because there used to be a four-way stop there before we did that. And so what's happening is that's flowing really fast also because they're coming out of there at a very fast rate. Where we're looking at is we can kind of see where they're coming out of the traffic circle, but around the turn, we can't see so much. And so even coming out of there aggressively when we get a little spot to come out, we've got people coming up at 40 miles an hour, beeping their horns because I pulled out in front of them. So again, we actually had a few people come through our backyard and also come through neighbors' yards, the other yard and everything like that because people are just going way too fast through that area. So when I talked to Bill, he actually, we got, I don't know if you guys drive through that area or not, but we were the ones that have the rocks through the back of their fence because you guys were great and got those down there and we feel a lot safer. And since that's happened, we've already had one run into the rocks. So again, they're just going way too fast through that area. And you already have some other blinking lights that either have solar or whatever. And all I'm asking for is something that can actually, I know I drove around the neighborhood and you've just put some really, really nice ones up on Shoreline Drive. That we can get some type of thing, a flashing light. I mean, if you're coming around there, we always slow down when it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone and you go 31, 32, and it's flashing at you. You're going to always slow down for that. So what I'm asking today is to take a look at and see what we can do about maybe slowing the traffic down around our neighborhood. We have a huge complex coming up. There's going to be way more traffic in that area. And to me, it's going to just get worse. I've been a resident for Kaiser for 20 years, and we're growing. And that's a good thing. I have no problem with that. But again, our traffic down Chamawa is flying down there. And history is showing you that we need to do something there. So I would really appreciate any consideration that you can actually do as far as, I think the biggest thing would be is to put one of those flashing speedometers up there. You've already got the facility up there as far as, I don't know if it's as big as the one on Shoreline, but you've got the ones that are up there already that are solar, and it's just got a blinking light that suggests, all the yellow things are just caution that suggest you go that speed. So when they're coming through there, actually they could be doing 30, which I think is a little fast. But then, I mean, I'm gonna ask you, officer, you're gonna pull somebody over for 34 and a 30? 37 maybe, 38. I'm just saying, 40 miles an hour is our normal speed going through there. We can't get out of our neighborhood anymore.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Just to give you a little history of that area, because of that new building structure, we were hoping that they were going to address some of these areas to not help slow the traffic, but at least for pedestrians and walking and getting a walkway there. Can anybody tell me what neighborhood association would be that area?
Your neighborhood association.
Your neighborhood
right behind
association
you.
is behind you, and the reason I'm bringing that up. So which one is it? Northwest.
Greater Northeast.
Great.
Greater Northeast.
Greater Northeast is your neighborhood association, so I want to explain some things of how the next steps work. So first, I want to thank you for coming in and raising concern. You're definitely one that is seeing at firsthand what is going on in that circle. What we usually have to do is follow the next steps as far as getting the neighborhood association to help us bring attention to that area and get a petition of concerned citizens in that area of what they'd like changed. We will definitely log this as a good suggestion as far as the blinking light and see what we can do to get that worked through with Bill. This is a growing concern, and I agree with you. And so I thank you again, I'll say it again, that you're coming out.
So how
here.
hard would it be to get that done as far as we're talking about taking a light out and putting a new one in? And I know you guys are in your budget's coming up to where you're wanting to start to think about doing things, correct?
Yes.
I mean, instead of doing it next year or going through that, I mean, I think that personally, it needs to be done yesterday. So I'm thinking that why not? And again, this community's growing, right? What about the people on the opposite side of the street that have to back into that traffic? Because if you're looking at what we're talking about people that are pulling into their driveways. And of course, if they wanted to be proactive, I guess, they could pull out into traffic and back in so they could get out easier. But we're talking about probably 300 new vehicles in the area with this thing. So I guess what I'm saying is that I really don't want to walk out of here to where you're going, I'm going to do something about this because it's a big concern. It's been since they put in the traffic circle, which when I'm going around it, I love it. But when I'm trying to get out, you're just making the traffic flow more. And when they come out, they're coming out in a speed to where before they had to stop and then they went out. So we've got the flow going this way. And if whoever wants to check this out after we're done here or, in the next week, I'm sure you know, officer, that Lucinda is the street that we're pulling out on. And if you go to pull out on that street, you can take a look at it. And hey, it's good certain hours, but other hours just can't get out.
I don't want you to think that it's local government. It moves a little bit slower. And I think there's power in numbers. So your suggestion of change helps. This is the first time somebody's come in to really bring up this attention to this area. This committee has known that this has been something that needs to be looked at. There has just not been put any efforts into it. We know with the neighborhood association backing it, it's power in numbers. So what I want to suggest is that we actually bring this on. We maybe bring it to the neighborhood association meeting, see if we can get growing concern of the citizens. Because, and if you do stay the rest of tonight, you'll hear what we've been putting together is the neighborhood traffic management program and revising this. Because there are steps that have to be taken in order to get it in front of staff. This is the first step. The second step is definitely involving our neighborhood associations and then filling out this packet. I don't know, if you do stay tonight, you'll hear what we've done to kind of reconstruct it a bit and make it a little bit user-friendly, more user-friendly. So at this point, it is logged as a concern. Our next step is to take it to the neighborhood association and ask them to help us get the citizens to sign a petition. This may mean knocking on doors because we need I think it's 75 houses in that area to sign the petition in order to move forward and get staff to do a survey. Is that what it is?
75% of
75% of the
affected properties.
Okay.
So do I do the petition myself?
You can.
Or,
You can.
or how are we?
There's an example of it in this package we're talking about.
Okay.
But there's two things that are going on here that I want to be very clear is that this new revised will be going to the legal department before it even gets published. So the one that's on there now is pretty, it's not user-friendly. So that's why I'm saying the neighborhood associations can help, because they know how to get in contact with us to help fill this out. It's only a couple of steps that part needs to happen. Mike Griffin, do you think there's anything that we can do in the interim while we start preparing paperwork? Is there anything that has been done?
No, there is a curve sign coming into it, a solar power one that we put up, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So as you're coming towards Lucinda there, that would be
You have
a good spot. Is that what you're talking about?
Suggestion to do 25 miles an hour, because again, we know caution signs are just, you're coming into something. And in that time, we've had major accidents and through people's yards and knocking out a telephone pole and driving it into somebody else's yard. And I mean, it's not a good area. I'm just letting you know. And again, this is the first time I'm in front of you guys, but the history of it has been going on for a while. And again, I should have probably came here a while back and put my interest in, but I was talking to Bill, and Bill got me the rocks, and I felt that we were going in the right direction and stuff. But now that I'm looking at, 300 units going up in the area and putting that many more people on those roads and stuff like that, and man, you could just drive a circle around those roads for a half an hour during the actual traffic time, and there's people that are driving around like, I mean, it's not a
Yeah,
good
they're not
thing.
yielding
It's
or
not a
anything.
good thing. I mean, people are trying to get home. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's like it's their time, they got off work, and they're just running through there. So I'm just looking at it to where, can we put a temporary one out there as far as, I know that they have mobile ones and stuff, see how it works. Maybe put some strips on the road and see what we got going on. See, maybe put the strips on the road before, then put the other one out and see what kind of thing we got. I mean, there's ways of doing that to see if it's gonna be.
Are you referring to
working.
rumble strips? What kind of-
Excuse me?
What, are you referring to rumble strips or what strips?
I'm just talking about like the strips that tell you how fast people are going through a neighborhood and how many people are going through.
So you're wanting
Traffic
to
count.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Sorry.
an assessment?
So, I mean, no, I don't want people's tires popped right now.
Michael DeBose.
Just, but I'm just thinking that maybe we can get, like, if it's gonna take a length of time, maybe we can get some history behind it
I
and
agree
see
with
if it's
that.
worth it. And then also if we could get a mobile one out there, because I see those pop up all the time. And
Michael
people
DeBose.
slow down for them, because they don't know if there's a officer right around the corner going, okay, you went too fast, and, you get a ticket.
We'll
Yes.
definitely put that suggestion down, but Michael DeBose had some comment.
Yeah, couple things. One, so the assessment will be part of the steps of the traffic management request. I have a question for Sergeant Lede. The 25 mile an hour when it's in the yellow and not at a normal speed limit sign, does that still count as a speed limit, or is that as?
It's a recommended speed.
So, okay, so it's not a ticketable thing if they were doing more than 25?
Again, I mean, we have a violation of basic rule, which means that they're going too fast for the conditions around. So if the environment at the time doesn't allow that speed to be safe and prudent, then it could be enforceable, but in normal layman's terms, no.
Hirsch, go ahead.
Thank you very much. But what you're saying reinforces what we're hearing, that they're speeding all over Kaiser, whether it's in the West Kaiser neighborhood, mine in the Northwest, obviously now in the greater Northeast, Southeast, in Alder. So we have a speeding problem, not just in one area, but it sounds like everywhere. So I think it's important that we go through these steps, do corrective actions as our budget allows and what enforcement we can. But I think it's also important for us as citizens to tell our neighbors, slow down.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
because
sometimes it's not our neighbors.
I know,
Right,
I
it's
know.
somebody passing through.
But it's, if we could say, it's just going on over at Alder, well, we could, but it's everywhere. We're on Windsor Island, and it's a speed trip. And I'm sorry, but thank you very, very much.
And again, I'm going to close out because I know I've taken a lot of time and stuff like that, but you want to look at the history of where our road is. I don't know what place has more history of that. I've had 4 cars in my backyard.
Yeah.
And a couple across the street and down the line, and that's why we got rocks in there. So again, I understand that there's speeding going along, but I think that's a dangerous little spot there. Would you say that too, officer?
I would agree you're in a dangerous location.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, speed has been some of the issue within that aspect of it, but most of our crashes have been impaired drivers or stolen vehicles. And those make it very difficult for any traffic control device that we put up to regulate on theirs.
So somebody that has been drinking and they're just going through all that, I can guarantee you if that thing's blinking at them, they're going to slow down and pay a little bit more attention. That's all I have to say.
No, thank you. We definitely will put this on the list
All right,
and hopefully
thanks so
can.
much for listening to me, and like I said, I'm just concerned about the whole thing. Even the people that are across the street that have to back out into the traffic, I'm pulling out, they're backing out.
Hopefully maybe you can get them to write if they can't come
I'm
in.
gonna try to do whatever, I mean, you guys got.
Well, your neighborhood association president's right back there.
Okay, well, and she's going back there. so-
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought
Thanks so
she
much
was
for your time. I
running
appreciate it.
away. Yeah.
Next, we have Walker Lamb.
Oh,
Did you not want to, does what?
Just signed in. 'cause-
Just sign in? Okay, this is just if you want to come up and say hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that
You want to come up and say hello? Okay,
No.
that's all right.
We would love to have you.
Is. Hi, Paul. Okay. Tammy Coombs.
Hello.
Hello.
Tammy Kunz, Greater Northeast Neighborhood Association. So, thank you, because I've had 25 calls about that this week.
Just this week?
Yes. Yes, unfortunately. So I'm not going to recover that because he covered everything that I received phone calls on. So I'm just going to second that motion. 13th Avenue near Claggett Park. I've had a few phone calls this week about sidewalk repairs and wanting to see if we can get something taken care of on that. I drove by, it does have a lot of pitfalls, a lot of big gaps in the sidewalk.
Is this in front of houses or is this?
Yep.
So, David, would you like to tell her the process?
David, is this one of those ones I go to
Yes,
zoning?
Write the address down, take a picture of the sidewalk, take it to,
Zoning or planning?
Take it to,
code enforcement.
and it's
Oh.
Ben Crosby.
did you get that?
I haven't finished going through my emails, so
Okay.
probably.
Both the sidewalk and the graffiti, there's 2 different
Yeah.
things.
The graffiti one I got done.
Okay.
Anyway, if
Okay,
you-
so then I also have been called about Dearborn. On the other side of Verta, near the Terrace Park and the swimming pool, that little strip has a ton of potholes and a couple of people ended up with flat tires this week. One was due to running over a little board with nails that was still stuck in their tire. It's just a first for me, but I don't even know if you can do anything about that kind of stuff.
Well, the potholes, let's keep, One
So,
test.
the
All right, did you write that
potholes.
one down, Michael?
I got it.
Or Mike, thank you.
Sidewalks on that same section, some of them are predominant, some of them are not.
That go to bed.
Code enforcement.
Okay. Okay. That's that part. Okay. Mayor Clark asked me to take part in the steering committee for the Skates Metropolitan Safety Plan. So I brought some information to share with you guys. Tammy, did you get that email?
I did, I have not looked at it yet,
Okay.
but I received it, yes.
I sent it to Tammy because hers is the only email I have. But they are wanting to get some input from you guys on reports that you've had with serious injuries, anything that we may be able to do to make the sidewalks safer, the bikeways safer.
What meeting was that?
This was the steering committee meeting on April 12th, 2023. It was at the COG office downtown.
Just last week?
Yeah.
From 4 to 6?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody on the committee go?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you have some
I have
notes?
some of their literature on the long-range plans. There's two things on projects that they're wanting input, and then on the safety plan. We've, earlier already, I know Michael and I already went online and did the safety stuff.
I did too.
You did?
I
Okay,
did too.
Yeah, so,
thank you, thank you.
and then they have their ongoing meeting. So, I think they said till April, no, not April, May 15th, they were wanting input, so.
Yes, it's open until May 15th for input.
Okay,
There's a section to where you can fill out the survey on problem areas. They also want us to make sure we're contacting the associations and get input from them. Since everybody seems to be here, I'm taking care of that now. But they do have some information that they want us to start taking a look at. The bike path is one of them. I know that we met with ODOT last month or the month before on some of that.
the one that they came here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Jenna?
To see what we can do about getting some of the repairs done, the fencing, and making it safer for families and more on and off places so that people can get on and off the walk path easier from different areas. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about because you guys go that way all the time.
So Hirsch, are you involved in helping gather the information on the serious injuries? Do you?
What they were asking was where we had seen injuries or possible areas, and so we did provide that
Okay, okay.
individually. And Michael, you know, they had the map, and we could say where the injuries were. And then at the Oregon Traffic Safety meeting in March, Mike was there, and tons of information was provided on not only just Kaiser, but Salem and everything. So, but they're, at this point, they're gathering the information, not so much from the police agencies or stuff, it's from individuals where, you know,
Right.
like they know what's happening right there by the turnaround, roundabout. So that's what they're kind of asking about. And they're not asking about deaths, just injuries. Oh,
Injuries of any kind. We did learn that bike injuries, if somebody falls off their bike, those are not reported. I don't know if we even keep track of that kind of data.
I don't think so on that one.
it's so embarrassing when we fall off our bikes.
Exactly, which is
I
why
don't want it
nobody
reported.
says anything. But that's one of the things that they asked. And they're also looking at all the ADA information along with that to try and make improvements where we can make improvements.
I think with, once Mid-Willamette Valley COG compiles that data. If it's ending May 15th, I'm thinking our June meeting, most likely we could have that data brought to us. Can I task you with that, Hirsch, to
I'll
just
talk to
keep
Mike.
just once the data is done?
I can talk to Mike Jaffe and see.
Because what I'm envisioning is that I'm gonna take what I see concerned citizens and compare it to the last couple of years that I've been here.
Yeah, and there's a
what we've
lot.
been doing.
There's a
I'm
lot.
not sure if it'll be done by June, but
But if he can give you a raw data of just the Kaiser details, I don't
we'll
necessarily
ask.
care.
Yeah, we'll just ask.
Yeah.
Works for me. All right.
Why not?
So that I hope we can, where I'm going with this is if I can get that list to match up with my own list that we've been doing for the last
Yes.
couple of years, I might be able to get more traction with Bill and putting those on a higher priority.
Right, and I know these guys have been here before because they brought in pictures and a big board of some sort from damage that was done to their property. That's partly how they got the rocks.
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
I'm happy that.
And we'll get
to hear-
started on that.
And again, like I said, we already had one run into Berlin's. So, and that was, that one, it would have probably taken out a shed and a quarter of my house. It stopped, moved a huge rock, like 7 feet. And,
Got it moved.
and that was all the damage to the car, and that was it. But, and went through part of my fence already, because it went through the fence, which now I'm thinking fencing isn't even matter to me anymore, because we've had cars like come all the way through our yard into our house and stuff. And
Okay.
again, like I said, next door neighbor had the same thing happen. And like the officer said, some of them that I know for sure were repaired, 2 of them were not, because they didn't get anything out. One was uninsured, and I went to my homeowner's insurance, and I had to pay all because they were uninsured, but he was not repaired.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Did you have anything else, Tammy?
Nope.
Okay, well, I think we do have our notes on this. The pothole on Dearborn and Verta will be looked at. 13th Ave and Claggett Park, I didn't write.
That
notes
one
on
I have to take to code enforcement
Code enforcement was the answer, okay.
And if
and
you
a
need
couple
help
of others.
working through the process for this, just reach out. I can help you.
And the
Definitely.
25 calls that you received, either one, create a memo with that data or ask them to email you. That's a lot to put on you. So something that we could have to back up why we have concern only helps strengthen our case, right?
Right.
So,
Well, and when I get the petition stuff done, Jackie and I and several others will take it around and start getting signatures, whatever we need to do.
and if you only, I mean, just because I want the whole committee to know, and I don't want to overwhelm just one committee member, please send it to Debbie so that she can distribute it
Absolutely.
to us. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Two more. Rob Witters? Hi.
Hi, Rob Witters. I'm a resident of Kaiser and member of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And I'm just here for some backup information from some prior business. So for background, the issue of speeding on Shoreline Drive was identified through outreach that the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association did starting January and February of 2022. We were able to identify specific areas, and in this case, I'm referring to Shoreline Drive. And we brought our information to Public Works and as well as the committee here a number of times. Through our work with you and some other efforts, we ended up bringing this information to the city council. And they agreed through consensus to go ahead and put a flashing speed sign on Shoreline 2 flashing speed signs, and they asked that the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association do some follow-up to see how it's been working. The signs were installed at the beginning of 2023, and on April 8th, Rhonda Rich, Carolyn Holman, and Carol Phipps talked to residents on Shoreline and distributed a letter asking for input. They went to 35 houses on Rafael and Shamawa, north of Rafael and Shamawa. And 11 residents were home and gave comments, and then we did receive 2 additional comments through email. Additionally, we have a newsletter that we send out, and we were able to elicit a couple more responses by that means. And then finally, we invited citizens from our neighborhood to come to our April meeting to give feedback also.
What was the consensus of the, feedback? What are you getting?
So the consensus of the feedback was that it was mostly positive. Some of the comments were it was a treasure to have them placed on Shoreline. They appreciate the traffic concerns. It's been a lot of help. They want them to stay. There was a few that, would like to see more, would like to see a stop sign, would like to see increased police presence. But generally speaking, that it was a positive feedback by most everybody and we did give everybody a copy, or everybody's going to have a copy of the actual feedback we've got. So anyways, so that's I just wanted to share that, or the neighborhood association wanted to share that information.
No, that positive feedback is needed because we need to know that some people will see us putting a sign up and they said it doesn't help. To hear this really helps us because we don't hear once it's fixed, right?
Right.
So thank you.
Right, yeah. And so I think we were pretty happy. Like I said, we went to 35 properties and we got 11 responses, and we felt that was a really good response. That was actually pretty high, what we expected to get. A lot of times people, when some stranger comes knocking on the door, they're not necessarily, either willing to open the door or answer any questions. So we were pretty happy about that also. So thank you very much.
For us? That's it. Thank you, Rob. Rhonda Rich.
Good evening, Rhonda Rich, and President of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And I just got this afternoon kind of a revised version of the neighborhood traffic management program. So a lot was cut out of it, streamlined. So I know you've been working on this a long time, and I want to make some constructive input tonight. It's not to be critical, and I hope that you take it and think about it, because still, we have not been involved with changes in this program. And actually, what we had done in the last year, we had not actually gone through this program because we had sent a memo to Bill. Bill did the study, and then we had the police chief behind us, which was the key. Because when we went to city council and asked for those flashing speed signs, actually when no one wanted a stop sign and the speed bump, the chief of police said, he had suggested those and he was behind it. So the city council, by consensus, approved this. So even though the studies didn't show that these traffic mitigation was necessary, that did happen. So I'm a little fearful of this process of 75% petition, going door to door. I've done that 15 years ago because of a park issue, and it was a different world then. And we just went on this last survey, I call it. We just had a flyer or a letter to hand people, or we left it on the doorknob. And if we knocked on the door and, just kind of asked them, what do you think about the flashing speed signs? Non-confrontational. We didn't ask them to sign anything. I think when you get into that area, of asking people to sign and commit, and then they say, well, they want more information if they're going to put their signature on something. Okay, do we say that we have a problem of speeding? Do you think speeding's a problem on this street? I guess they could say yes and sign that. And then they would probably say, well, what are they going to do about it? And if you give suggestion like a speed stop sign or flashing, you know, it's a little more involved, I think, than we think it is, going around and getting a petition. And 75% of what? You know, if it's just your neighbor on either side, that would probably be, you know, just get the 3 people. But if you're talking about like these people, do we go up to the parkway, down to the roundabout? Is that what you're asking of? So I think it's a little bit confusing, and I think it puts a big burden on the neighborhood association to do something like that. I know we have some of the manpower that we can do that, the smaller neighborhood associations, or if there's just one person who's, you know, heading it up. Really, I think there needs to be a little more thought on that, getting a petition and the reasoning behind the petition. Is it to notify everybody that this is going to happen, or do you really want support for something? I'm not quite sure what the petition is.
I mean, we can't just have one person coming in and saying that it's an issue. It's going to affect the whole street, right?
Yeah.
So it's either power in numbers, and as the committee, we don't have that power. We can only make suggestions and bring it to council once a year.
The way I understood it and worked with the document, there's two ways to approach it, either through the neighborhood association as the group of people. So by you coming forward on behalf of your neighborhood, you're speaking to that 75% already. That starts the process, that allows us to do an assessment and then do a whole analysis. And then, so the petition isn't needed in the beginning. It's only going to be needed after we come up with a solution. And at that point, we have to ask those who are being affected by it. So if we're putting in a speed hump, the homes directly near it. And so it's slightly less than what it implies. And at that point, we will have a solution, and that's what we're asking for support on. Does that help?
Okay. So you're asking for a petition or a signature from people as a confirmation that they think the solution is, they agree with it.
And it was very confusing because it does also imply that if you do not go through the neighborhood association, if you're just one person, now you need a group to be that support system if you don't have a neighborhood association to work with. So you now need to find support on your own. So that, and I agree, going door to door is not ideal. So I'm glad that we really have an association in almost every part of the city. So hopefully that support's already embedded for what's needed.
Well, I tell you, if we had to go down, I hate to say it, but on Cummings, if we had to go up and down that street, there were some houses that I would not go to. And we've had shootings on the street. So, you know, it's just.
Rhonda, as a committee for us, like, that's why we want the consensus, because if not, guess what's going to happen? I'm not going to have you coming in complaining. I'm going to have them coming in complaining because they don't want the speed bump.
Yeah.
And when we're at that point, let's say we go through the association, we go down the pathway, and now we just need support on a solution. There's a team of people that you're working with. You're not on your own. So if you have concerns about certain doors, then the rest of the team, such as Public Works, can probably work with you on that door knock.
Okay, that was another question. Possibly the city could do, if you're looking at a long street, could the city do a mailing to all those people involved, informational, say, you know, and you're going to have a public hearing, or we're going to discuss that at this Traffic Bikeways Committee meeting, please come to this meeting, or give email input, that the city could get more involved with that too?
I had a question. I remember at one point in time, a long time ago, the city sent out information. I can't even remember what it was about, but they sent it out with the water bills. And I don't remember if they decided not to ever do that again, or if there was some way that could be used again.
That is something that is used
But that's a
it's-
city.
Yeah, that gets the city involved. I'm not sure if they would want to be involved in that part of it. But it also would depend on the cycle, because if I understand it, in Kaiser, they bill half of the city one month and then the other half the other month. So it would have to coincide with the month that was, where you were focusing.
Okay. Okay, well, we have some monies that we could probably do that, because that's what I was thinking we should have done maybe on Shoreline too, is we can get a block and we can get the mail service to just focus on that and send out a letter notifying people, although we wouldn't get signatures at that point. That would just be what we had done, is going door to door when we contacted 300 people in our neighborhood. And you're saying that that would be okay that we're a neighborhood association, so we have some weight and numbers there, that we don't have to go out and do a 75%
Right.
petition
You
at the
represent-
beginning.
Well, how many members do you have? I forgot.
Well, if you go by our email list, it's about 200, I
Okay,
think,
so you
yeah.
represent, when you come in and talk to us, you represent 200 people.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, okay, so,
I mean, I think that needs to be understood. The
Yeah.
same
Okay,
thing for each
okay.
of those neighborhood associations. We don't need to, you don't need polling if
okay,
you've already got it. You do, you're as an association. So those
Okay.
groups are okay. If you live in an area like where I do with no neighborhood association, then I got to go out and drum up support.
okay.
Hershey had a comment?
Yeah, I'm, just to kind of reinforce the neighborhood association as a representative, and then if you don't, do the other is, I've been on the committee a long time, and we've been involved in some projects, and Mike can probably back me up, that we're, oh yeah, let's go out and do it, and then we pleased one person, but most of the neighborhood hated it. So, and we felt very, oh gosh, this methodology will lessen that kind of thing.
Understand,
then,
yeah.
Because Kaiser's budget is very tight, and we don't want to waste money if that particular neighborhood doesn't want that particular thing. And the neighborhood associations, now I know areas that don't have neighborhood associations, and correct me if I'm wrong, Southeast Kaiser helped another area. So, if Up Wheatland wants some help, Northwest Kaiser, we might be able to help them, so.
So, I'm sorry, but Tammy, were you saying then, once there's a solution, that we as a neighborhood association have to go back out and notify the people on that? Do we still speak as a body, or do we have to go back and talk to individuals on that street that this is the solution to a speeding
By the
problem?
time we get to that point, a solution has been assessed and decided probably wise. And so with the help of Public Works, and it's a subcommittee of a bunch of people. It's not really clear who's on it entirely. We have
Okay.
a membership as well. Point is, we then come up with an actual plan, and then we have to make sure that everybody supports that plan, and that may include neighboring streets as well. And with that, it's not a number of 75%, it's whatever homes you're affecting. So it could be only like 4. And so to answer your question, is it just you
Okay.
responsible for that? No.
Okay.
The committee, the way I interpret it is the committee works together for this now.
Okay, because we got like 25% response on just going down Shoreline. So a 75 looks, like a big number. And again, like I said, if you're asking people to put a signature on, that's a
And
little
it's also
more.
not very clear how far you have to go to make 75, like, are you talking a half a mile? And then 75% is a large number? Or are we talking 6 homes and 75% is 4?
A black person.
So when it comes down to the numbers, work with Public Works and they'll let you know what it is they have in mind and what they need.
Okay, and you also mentioned a traffic chair on the neighborhood associations. I know they don't all have traffic chairs, so I don't know, you might want to say a representative or from
That's a
the
good point.
board or
That caught my eye, too.
something like that. We're not that organized. I mean, Rob represents us, but we, we haven't officially told him he's a traffic chair, so maybe we need to do that, but.
Not at the last meeting.
So maybe we have to think about some positions on our board for that. And then you will say who the contact is for the city, whether, and Mike and Bill are great to work with, so I just want to say that, this is kind of another step in there that we have to go through. And I really hope that this encourages traffic mitigation and does not discourage it. That this is a little, and you'll be able to tell in the next year or so, I guess, as you go through this. And there's no mention, we did have to end up going to the city council to ask for what we needed. And I guess you're just focusing on your group. I mean, if it doesn't pass through this group, you say, okay, this isn't warranted. Flashing speed sign's not warranted. Somebody could go to the city council and that's always the option?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Always go to
We're-
the city
we-
council.
I'm going to go back to there's power in numbers. We are always taking notes of concerned areas. In that, it says they want us to go to council once a year and give the list of items. That kind of, we deterred from that until this year. So I did go to council and I did explain to them our short list of items that we've heard and repetitive concern for areas. Because again, everything is in numbers. So the more I can say that I had 12 times in 12 different concerned citizens come in and speak to the same area, that helps me. I had an association come to all 12 meetings and express concern and following this. That holds weight. So,
So I think you're asking if you're supposed to go to city council, and the answer is no. We do that for you.
but no, they can too.
Well, they can, right.
You always can.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'd just like to say that I don't know if you're going to approve this tonight. I would personally like to see the neighborhood association chairs get together. We did that for the budget. Hirsch kind of called a meeting and we had Adam Brown there and Tim Wood. And, just to kind of talk about, is this really doable for everybody? Does everybody feel comfortable?
I agree with that, Rhonda. I
Yeah.
think that it's not going to be approved tonight because this is just getting in front of the committee.
Okay.
So I want us all to read it, and if you want to have that meeting before we present it, we'll take all the notes we can get. We're gleaning information off of anybody we can find. Mike probably being the biggest contributor in helping guide us to what this should actually say. And some of the areas we found out that he was like, that's a little muddled. You might need to clarify that some too. So I think we're only strengthening ourselves by getting this document perfected and easier for citizens to fill out. So I would encourage that be our next step.
I just want to add to that, though, that we can't really change the process. We've been asked specifically that the process has to stay as is. We can just tweak how user-friendly it is. So we welcome feedback around that. But if your thoughts are going a different direction, then that's a whole separate conversation.
Okay, well, if you wanted to call a work session, you just set the date and I'll be there.
I can call
the word
a
out.
work session?
Yeah.
It would be a work session for this committee.
Okay.
If you wanted to have a work session, a joint work session with the council, you would have to run that by Tracy Davis, the city recorder.
All right.
And
But what is it, would this be offline if I wanted the neighborhood associations and the committee?
Well, you kind of need to have, it's a public meeting.
It is,
So,
right?
But that's okay. I mean, I can be here to take the notes. It doesn't need to be televised.
Okay.
We can just make it a separate meeting, a different time, whatever works for everybody. And you can work with me. I can tell you when the council chambers is available. And we can record it and even post the recording on our website like we do our meetings.
Okay. Hi, Hirsch, go ahead.
I'm throwing out a suggestion, making it simple. When we met as a neighborhood association to go over the budget, it was just an open discussion. It wasn't a work session.
Right.
And we were just getting ideas and stuff. And since this is our first draft, this is the perfect time for and I know all the neighborhood associations have it now, the draft, is to go through it, and maybe in the next month or two, we could get together and do it that way. And Tammy
Just have
is,
one voice of updates rather than hearing
Right.
many voices. That's a great idea.
versus having the formal process and all that, because we technically don't need city staff at that.
Because it's an open discussion.
It's an open discussion. It's not,
So what date works?
well,
Well, we can talk about it.
I,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's where you could work that out.
yeah.
yeah, we can work it out
Right.
as chairs.
Neighborhood associations.
Right.
Associations.
And come
Yeah,
up with our own
yeah.
edits.
Just one more thing. I know you have some criteria on your studies as to whether something's warranted. I know there's not a police presence on any of the, it's just a traffic study, that you don't get into, say, police reports, say, for instance, these people have crashed in their backyard 4 times. It seems to me that would be something that would be relevant to getting some kind of traffic
I think that
calming
comes into play
device.
during the analysis. So Public Works
Okay.
takes all the data, and that's probably part of the data that it's
Okay.
considered.
Okay.
So even though it's not documented as such as a bullet point on this document, they still know to
Yeah,
look into
that-
that as well.
Okay.
That
Okay.
is one of, yeah.
Okay, and I just want to say those flashing speed signs are great. I know Mike's kind of, been pushing this, and I really hope that we don't have to do a speed study for every flashing sign, because I think,
No,
they're expensive.
there wasn't one for this.
Yeah, there was for Shoreline.
Really?
Yeah, we did a speed study. So,
Yeah.
but, I live on Raffel, and I go down Shoreline, and I see that sign, and I think, okay, yeah, I'm in a neighborhood, and the speed limit is 25. So I think it affects people not just on that street and, the whole neighborhood. This is a residential neighborhood, go 25. And the guy who's across the street from the southernmost sign, he's the one who said, I love it. Leave it there. By the time people get to his house, they've slowed down. So I think they're very effective. And I personally would like to see more around in the city on some of our speeding streets. So,
I think we have 5 that we wanted around, but cost-wise, I think needs to be addressed again. All right, Rhonda, I do
Thank
appreciate
you.
your
Thank you very much.
update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other positive on the flashing speed thing is it's a challenge for me on the bicycle to get up to 25.
oh,
So thank you.
thank you.
Okay. We're going to move to the next Brook Alder Crosswalk update and reminder to attend the budget meeting, May 8th and 9th. Does anybody have, I know this,
Well, you had talked about that at the last meeting, that you
Yeah.
wanted somebody to go to the budget committee meeting.
Right.
So that they could make a pitch for it, for money to be set aside in the budget.
okay.
And I think I asked you if you wanted it on the agenda.
I
and-
did,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't usually put stuff on the agenda unless I've asked you.
I appreciate that.
Right.
Go ahead. You're
I'm
there.
I'm on the budget committee.
Can we task you with this one too?
Because I'm going to yes, you can, because I'm going to have to get down and testify for the neighborhood association budget too.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and so I can get some more details from Ken.
Okay. All right.
You
Do
have my
a-
email? Okay, just send me some details.
Do you have a list of which ones are major concerns that we want to bring up?
The only one I knew was older.
Crosswalk at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also have concerns on, up on Purple Lane, through that crosswalk, because of 35-mile speed up there. People don't, that's just slow down that crosswalk very well.
Which one?
Verda Lane?
Oh, Vert is a long street.
Burbank, Alder,
Okay.
Mhm.
the school's crossing that
Is that within the boundaries of the road improvement that's going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Which road, like the
Verdun.
one that's been on forever, or something related to the apartments?
No, not related to the apartments.
Okay,
This is the Verda Lane Improvement Project.
yeah.
Which is near
Well, that goes all the way from,
the Parkway.
to the Parkway, right? All of Verda from, but not from the traffic circle, from Dearborn to the Parkway, correct?
That would be true.
We don't
Yeah.
have, I haven't seen a plan yet for Dearborn to Chamawa, where the new apartment, whatever that complex is going on.
No, we were asked that the builders were.
We're gonna
addressing
do
that.
something someday.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Maybe,
Hirsch, for taking
yeah.
this to council for the budget meeting. The next is the update to the committee purpose. This is just a placeholder on there. We did.
On the back of your agendas.
Okay. This was what we had updated before, and I believe we're at a good spot to want to bring this to staff to review. Along with the neighborhood traffic management program.
Madam Chair, those two things are gonna go two different places.
They are?
Yeah, because legal will be the ones that review the committee
And Tim.
purpose. That's part of a resolution. But the neighborhood traffic management plan will be Public Works. So you could go ahead and move forward with the purpose and get that out of the way if
Let's
if
get
you're
it
not
out of
ready
the
to do
way.
the neighborhood one yet.
Well, can I ask the committee if we can move forward with bringing this to legal for review for the committee purpose? Did you want another month before we say yes, or
No,
to
I'd
read
like-
over this?
Go ahead.
Might be a good idea to have a motion.
I need a motion, okay.
I'm not sure what the question is, what you're talking, do we need to send this to the lawyer, the legal people to have a look at it and give us an opinion whether it's okay or not?
No, you just need to send it to them as a recommendation, and they will do what they want with it. They're not gonna bring it back to you. They're just gonna,
Okay,
they might
all
just
right.
throw it away. You just don't know.
So-
But I don't think they will. I think the changes that y'all have made have been very good.
This is any of this new? This isn't new to me.
This, no, we reviewed this several months ago.
Yeah.
I believe the committee did approve it. So this was me thinking it was going to the same place as the NTM.
I so move that it be moved on for legal review,
Second.
Okay.
All right, there it is. Thank you.
because this is good. This is good stuff. Needed
Thank
to
you.
be done.
A vote for,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
Oppose? It passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah. We've been carrying that for how many months now?
I know, it's been on there a long time.
All right, next.
All right, next we have the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program, and Tammy, if you can go ahead and take lead on this?
Well, we've kind of already addressed most of it. The committee has the updates, the community has the updates, so the neighborhood associations will get together and we will combine our thoughts, and then somebody will bring it to us as the committee to add the edits to the committee's edits, and then we'll move forward from there, is my suggestion. Mike, you're kind of an owner of this document. Do you have other thoughts?
I concur.
Okay, thank you.
How can we get the edits to you? We're talking about the neighborhood traffic management program.
Yes.
How do we get the edits to you? Or who wants the edits?
I do. We'll discuss it
You
next
want me to
time.
email it to you and
Sure.
if you like them, you'll do it, and if you don't like it, you'll call me. Is that okay?
How about, if I like them, I'll include them. If I don't like them, we'll discuss them at the next meeting. I don't just
That
want to
long?
throw away your
Okay,
ideas.
That's fine.
Okay, so what I'm asking the committee to do is take this packet, review it before May 18th. Actually, if you could do a little bit before May 18th so that, because one of two things is going to happen. If we don't get them before May 18th and give Tammy the time to absorb the data, it's going to push it into June. This is going to put, and then also meeting with the neighborhood associations.
How about the
If I
10th?
may recommend,
Please.
I put the packet together the week before. So you need to get the stuff to Tammy well before that. so that she can give me something a week before,
Okay.
and I can put the final, semi-final product in the packet, y'all can review it, and then
Okay.
neighborhood association can see it.
Then I will request from the, go ahead, Michael, before I request.
I just wanted to ask for timing. Are we looking to have this neighborhood association super group input at the same time you want our input, or are we, okay.
No,
Before.
the open discussion with the neighborhood association is one of them. And then, because they're living there and can give us their perspective, but we also have our group. So I think individually, I'm asking you to review this, see the changes that Tammy has taken a lot of time to review and do. I'm not trying to push this through fast because these don't come around too often. So if it does take us another month or two, I'm okay with that. I just want us to have a document that citizens can pull up and not be confused by, and can fill this out and take it on themselves as well too.
So with that said, can the committee get me their ideas and edits by the 4th, May 4th? That will give me a week to compile
Yes.
and get to Debbie in time to put on the agenda. And then at the next meeting on the 18th, the neighborhood associations will come forward as a group, as one voice,
By when, Tammy? What did you say?
by the 4th, May 4th.
4th?
That's 2 weeks from now.
Star Wars Day.
I know, it is Star Wars Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, may the 4th be with you.
Does that work for the committee?
I have a question maybe of Gabby. Are we able, I'm not the technology guru here, to turn off all the edits in the copy that we got through the email?
You got a Word document, right?
Yes, but
Yeah.
it had track change, no, I PDF those
Yeah.
because Word
Oh.
documents don't transmit very
No.
well. But I think that the one you got, I had the hardest time with track changes. I do have one, I think, Rick,
Oh, in
if you
red with
want it,
lines on it.
that doesn't have all of the balloons and everything. Yeah, it doesn't have the formatting stuff. I'll give you this one if you want.
Yeah, this-
It has
Yeah.
comments, I
This has all
thought
the
y'all would
good
want the
ones.
comments. So, but, and if the committee wants, when Tammy gets done, if they prefer, I can accept all the changes and just send you that copy, but you won't know what's different.
I don't
So
like
I don't
that.
know if you want that or not.
I don't like that.
Or maybe
I think we need our original document to be, and if you want to go ahead and
The
go on
edited
Google,
version.
you can learn how to untrack documents. Is it in Word? We have this in Word.
Well, yeah, but the one I sent to everybody was a
In PDF.
And you
Okay.
can't do anything with that.
No.
But I can send it to you in Word then if you want, and then I think you can go up to the review tab and click
Edit.
accept all changes, and those will all go away then.
You don't even have to do that. If you go to the review tab, there's a drop down that lets you see simple markup, all markup, this is all markup, or no markup. And the no markup is just the,
Okay,
everything that's not changed.
okay.
Well, we just needed some.
Well, then maybe kind of another general question. There was a lot of things that were removed. Is there some strategy behind that?
Some of it just got put to the back, and some of it just seemed redundant or irrelevant. So definitely, since you have everything in front of you, you can see what was removed, and if you feel it should not be removed, that's what I want to hear about.
Is yours in red?
Yeah, some of it.
Yeah.
Well, on the computer, it's more red.
It is, okay. That shows you what the changes are. I do think that we were realizing a lot of the things that were in here was addressing major roads, but we realized this was the neighborhood traffic management program, so it's neighborhoods, so we wanted to remove anything that had to do with
River Road.
River Road, because we are not going to
Yeah,
address
I
that.
noticed in one place, arterials were still mentioned, and I
Yeah.
don't think that should be in there.
Let's,
But according to the definition, it is, so that's why I left that in.
The only question, Mike would probably tell me the difference between an arterial and a feeder, but we want to talk about Verda and Wheatland and Chamawa and Dearborn, and those are all, they're not quite arterials, but they're
I think
Yep.
they're
major
both
feeder
I
streets.
think they are arterials.
they're connected. They're connected.
So we don't want to eliminate them.
No, I don't think it would be.
And then everybody crosses River Road, so it's kind of hard to eliminate River Road anyway.
Well, then I think,
But no neighborhood association Association is going to come in and say, we want to add a speed bump to River Road.
They might come in and ask you to move it to, look, yeah, right?
Well,
You might want to
actually,
remove the speed limit down to 25, and I bet I could find 100 people who would sign that petition tomorrow.
I actually asked this exact question to Bill, saying, how does River Road get addressed? And he said, it's not covered by this because this specifically says two-lane, and there was like another criteria, I can't remember right now. So it eliminates the roads that have more than 2 lanes, so we'll just start there.
Which
So even
are?
Lock Haven.
Which are?
Lock Haven is the center turn lane, River Road,
Well, the center turn lane counts as,
yes.
Well, so, can I ask?
Go ahead, Michael.
I just want,
Well, that, Dave, and it's also the neighborhood management traffic program, so that kind of states it right there. We're dealing with the neighborhoods, and then we have the collectors and the minor arterials and major arterials, and they don't really fall into this category. They shouldn't be looked at any differently, but we'll address safety concerns as they come, is kind of what I told Tammy, and
Yeah.
she didn't really delve into what that meant, but we'll.
but after reading it, when was it written? And
99.
before anybody, I didn't know anybody on that committee. And I've been here a while. That was written so long ago. My recall was that River Road was just 3 lanes
It was great.
when that was written, or 4, but nothing else was anywhere.
Okay.
We're talking about 19, right after the city was formed. So anyway.
So to kind of summarize this, this plan should not cover, obviously River Road, but also Shamawa.
And
How
Lock Haven.
about Verda?
Verda's out.
And I think that's where our short list comes in. If you think about it, the concerned citizens that have come in to discuss those have really kind of taken on their own. I think about the
Yeah.
library crosswalk that we've got going in.
Yeah, I'm not saying that those streets wouldn't be under our jurisdiction and our interest. I'm just saying they wouldn't be part of the neighborhood plan.
Right, the process would be different.
Yes.
This process is just to
Come on,
help.
The Northeast Kaiser, whatever you call it, Northeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association encompasses Chamawa. It encompasses a big chunk of Verda because people are crossing back and forth across it. And I'm sorry to drag this out, but what we're going to talk about, I don't think we can exclude those streets. Granted, River Road, forget about it. But my neighborhood, Wheatland, is right in the middle of it. And I guess it's 3 lanes.
But
Is
David,
it?
wouldn't you?
No, it's 2 lanes.
David, wouldn't you think that this is really addressing for people that are cutting through?
No.
Speeding?
I think it addresses his issue about Chamawa Road. It addresses the issues we've had about Verda between Lock Haven and the traffic circle.
But the point where he's living, you have 2 lanes, right?
But no, Chamawa has 3 right before that.
Right before that, but not at that location.
Well, that's not
And this
what
is
it
where it falls
says.
to Public Works to make this assessment, is what it comes down to. Like, they own this document. They can determine the right course of action here, whether it's to follow this process or another one.
I'm just wondering where a traffic circle comes into play, because you have crosswalks through those too.
Yeah, 4 of them.
You have crosswalks through there, and even sometimes when you're doing the right speed limit, all of a sudden somebody starts to step out or do whatever. And so that's a big issue too, because you got crosswalks in that coming up to the same spot that I'm talking about.
Right.
And again, I was just talking about it, it's like, yeah, it's our neighborhood, but it's a thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Everything that comes off of there is coming from the freeway through there.
Yeah.
Or if you're coming down River Road, you're coming down Dearborn, you're coming down Chamawa, and it's all flowing down into our little stretch
Okay.
area.
What, Tammy, what I would, I don't really care what ones we take or not, except where I live. But I think all of that about arterials and feeder streets should be thrown out. We're going to talk about, if you want to say, we'll talk about everything except River Road, I'm okay with that.
Well,
But I
this
don't
is not
want
my
to hear.
decision to make.
Mike can, later, or Public Works wants to say, yeah, you don't get to make any say about what's going on Verda or Chamawa or Wheatland or Lock Haven or Rivercrest, whatever. If we widen Windsor Island Road to 3 lanes.
Okay.
So all I'm saying
I'm gonna
is.
stop this right now.
That's an
I think-
editing.
I think the best thing that we can do is write your concern of what you think the document is not addressing, and that we can talk about it. Thank you. Thank you.
But can I have the last 2 cents?
You can have one, go ahead.
Okay, 1 cent. No matter which way, the neighborhood associations will still be involved, will still come and still be concerned about River Road, Lock Haven, Verda. So that's not going to exclude the neighborhood associations for our concern for traffic safety.
You agree with me? Throw out, no restrictions on what we're
No, I
doing.
think we
Right,
all
no
agree.
one-
It's just a matter of what the plan is covering.
Yeah.
So let's do this in an open, if you're, no. No open arguments. What I'm
No.
thinking here is voice your concerns.
Yeah, move on.
We'll take those and compile them. I don't think this is the forum to do it at. I think what we need to do is maybe do a work session once we can gather all of the information of concerns that we have. I want to thank Tammy for taking the time to
Yes.
really go through this. And I know it's been, I know you've had to say a couple of times why, but you are definitely the perfect person to put on this and go through it with your knowledge that you possess. So thank you. I don't think we're done with this. This, just like Claggett, or not Claggett, but Cummings. It's something that we're watching that's gonna take a year or so to do. The library crosswalk, it's gonna take a year, but we're getting it done so that in the future it's safer. And that's the biggest thing that I wanna put out there. It doesn't move fast, and I know we wanna see change quickly, but there's a process, and I want us to follow it, and I want it to be easy for us to follow. I'm gonna move to the next. Do you have
Wait a minute.
Good. So the crosswalk at the Heritage Center, Culture Center now, that's part of a project that's ongoing, and that'll be coming here shortly. So we have the crosswalk in place, and it's been there since Shamawa improvements were done, but the push button is part of that project, so that will be happening. I think you mentioned a year from now or something, but that's coming up between now and middle of June, so.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it.
Okay. Well, I'll believe it when I see it.
The mayor told me it's coming today.
All right. The mayor said it.
She did?
I'll go talk to her. All right, next thing on the list is SCAT's report. Tammy, do you have anything to report on this?
I will just say that to add to what's already unfolding and Rhonda brought to our attention, there's a hybrid meeting on April 25th for the policy committee. Previously, they had the open house on April, did I say 25th? On April 25th is the upcoming hybrid meeting. Hybrid meeting, you can look online or show up in person. Previously, they had an open house on April 5th and where they welcomed public input. This year, they're working to address the boundaries of the urban growth, not urban growth, the urban boundaries. Sorry, wrong term.
City limits, you mean, or?
No, it said, the terminology used was urban limits.
Urban what?
Limits.
Limits?
Or boundary. Urban
Urban
boundaries.
boundaries.
I'm sorry, urban boundaries. I keep wanting to add growth in there, and that's not the same thing. I'm sorry? Oh, that's someone said something. And to work on the Planning Transportation Improvement Program through 2029 and the Metropolitan Transportation Plan through 2050. So that's what they're working on this year, to look ahead at the plans. That's a short summary of it all.
I like it. Thank you. Anything else to add to SCAT's, Hirsch?
Oh, I attended the April 11th open house on the projects from now to 2050, and they had all the projected projects and areas. And it was very interesting, and this will sound a little negative, but there was a large contingent from Salem that was pretty much against any money being spent in Kaiser.
Okay. Next on the list is the pedestrian flag report from Brenda. Do you have
So
anything?
what I did was prepare a packet that I've given all of you of what I found. I'm not sure what to do next, but I figured you guys might want to look at it. There are links, which I can send you an email so you can actually link on them, to the researched articles that show that crossing flags. Pedestrian crossing flags are, for the audience, they're flags that are at crossings that do not have lights or stop signs that you can hold in front of you and walk across the crossing. Hopefully, people notice you better because you have a flag. And then you put it on in a holder on the other side. We have the research, and then we have the city examples. I was researching a number of cities, and I do have the corporation that sells CME flags I copied their website because they had all the cities that are using crossing flags. Like this one says, Girl Scouts add crossing flags to make these streets safer. What I found after doing the research, a little bit of research, is Kirkland, Washington had everything on their website. They had their studies they had done and cost and things they'd tried and where they were going to use it. It's a volunteer program there as well. And in your packet is this stuff from their, like this sheet is the volunteer position describing pedestrian flag crossing volunteer and who they'll, and asking if they could do that and what their responsibilities are. So I don't want to cover all that tonight. I do want to say that I emailed David Gurley, I think. I'm not sure how to say his last name. And he responded, so I have that also in your packet. I asked him how they get the flags. So Kirtland has, they make their own holders. And that's on their website, how to make their holders. They use PVC. And they said they buy their flags from safetyflag.com. And he told me to call him and mention Kirkland. I did. The flags are a little expensive. They're about $8 a flag plus shipping. So it's almost $1,000 for 100 flags. That's also in your packet. So what I was suggesting with this was that we set this up somehow so that a volunteer organization or a business, that an interested party is actually sponsoring this and maintaining it. And this is the information that I gave so that we can look at this and come back and discuss what we think of it and whether or not we think that would fit our needs.
Okay. So I have two things to go over. So our council liaison, I don't know if, just to give you history, and same with you, Brenda, as well, too. This is something that I was hot and heavy on as well, too. But there was a spin to this that you brought to me that I felt that we should try to revive this again to bring back to council, and that is to relieve the costs off of the city and bringing in a volunteer of that. What would be our next step? First of all, I think we'd have to vote on it here, and then could we bring it to council to present in this way?
Tremendous question, Jamie. I'm trying to think through the steps. Definitely, you want to vote on it here. You want the committee to be in accord as a first step. As a second step, Mike, is this something where Public Works would need to be involved at all?
I suggested it be similar to Adopt a Highway. If you want to take it on, it's there available to you. If nobody's adopting it, it's just not available. So I just have to throw it in because that would be something you're involved with as Public Works, but it's a little more controlled than just hoping somebody takes care of these flags.
The cities that I researched, Public Works is the one who puts up the holder.
Okay. Thanks, Brenda. So in that vein, I'm trying to think through the steps and make sure, because Public Works would need to be at least informed, given the small part that they would theoretically play in this. So there would be that little, I'm trying to think through my Mr. Shannon Johnson hat, it would be that little bit of civic research in terms of what the overall outlay of effort and potential cost would be to the city. So there would need to be at least a little bit of a buffer there from the research perspective before it may want to go to the city council vote proper. So my recommendation would be this: the committee votes on it when you all are comfortable to vote. If that's tonight, awesome. If it's another night, so be it. Let us know, take that back, and then I think we would want to involve definitely at least Mr. Brown, get him get him the visibility to the program as needed, and he would bring in Mr. Lawyer, anybody else in the public works sphere. And then city staff would be able to support that recommendation before the council. So yes, that's a lot of little steps that I just described to put up some pedestrian flags. But I think that covers all our bases, and especially the knowledge of any city involvement in making sure that the program comes to fruition.
So the thing with what you said, it brought questions for myself as well too, is what areas do we want to put these? And I know when I did this prior, it was Cherry and Mandarin, Cherry and Mandarin area. But the element I think I was missing, Brenda, was getting volunteer help as far as cost goes.
And the examples I have, that wouldn't qualify because it has flashing lights and a stop sign. So this is for streets that aren't marked.
Okay. Michael?
If we had, to say we find a volunteer group or a business sponsor, someone who wants to do that, and then they eventually decide they don't want to do it anymore, does that mean we can't find a replacement?
Yeah.
We yank it?
That means several citizens have flags at their home. Go ahead, Brenda.
So the programs I'm looking at, the citizens who want the crossing come to us and fill out these forms. And I didn't research a bunch of city options, but Salt Lake City and Kirkland actually had a warehouse of the flags, like, I don't know, 100 flags. And then when the citizens, they were supposed to maintain them, so there was less than 10 flags, they came and bought the flags they need from the city. That way the city is also controlling exactly what the flags look like. So there is a synergy involved with, so we don't go find people to do it, people who want that and are wanting to take it on. And the form that Kirkland had, the person had to agree to hand it to somebody else if they were gonna be gone for 2 weeks to make, because that volunteer also makes sure the flags are on both sides of the street. So that's why they wanted it to be someone who lives within a business or someone who lives within 700 feet of that crossing, so they can daily make sure the flags are on both sides, and then flags that go missing are replaced.
Okay.
So less about what we have to do as players finding where we want to put them.
Rick,
Brenda, since I haven't read through that yet, was there any discussion from Kirkland especially about liability issues? Say if the flags aren't out there someday for whatever reason?
I didn't find that, but that is, I didn't see that.
What is your concern, Rick?
It's just that if something's put in place and people are used to it being there, and then if it isn't there, does anybody incur any liability because of that if there's a situation that happens?
As an old state risk manager, the answer is yes, there is liability.
I would think somewhere along the line there would be. I don't know if it would be the city or the volunteer organization or
Whoever has the money is who they go to.
Yeah, that's
Debbie,
right.
did you have comment?
Yes, I was just going to mention that the city has an Adopt a Street program, and I put flashes out every now and then on the digital sign out front, just encouraging people to sign up, and I think somebody in our environmental department kind of manages it, but we could do an Adopt a Intersection kind of program for this, if that was something you wanted to pursue.
Just that from the city council perspective, I think also we would have to go through the machinations of establishing a program. And your bureaucracy at work, everybody, but.
Okay. Next steps on this, then. My head is floating, I'm not sure.
I think we should have time to read it and then discuss it next time.
Thank you.
I didn't hear that, Tammy.
We should have time to read it as a committee and discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay, next agenda?
She's working on becoming chair. That's great.
We're just a team.
Oh, now it's team.
We're a team.
Now it's a
Okay,
team.
fine. Next is the TSP update share with Salem report, Mike DeBlasi.
Yeah, so I got a hold of Mike Jaffe to ask if there is any history of neighboring cities deciding, hey, let's, we're cheek by jowl, let's just do a combined TSP. He said there has been no successful history of that in Oregon. I did point out that as a shared UGB makes this a little unique. One thing he mentioned, and I understand where he's coming from on this, is when you have a joint project like this, you each have to give up a little autonomy. So perhaps you might have to accept something or not get something you want, which is, I think, why there's been no successful combined TSP reports before. My one thought is Kaiser, or any city, I suppose, willing to give up a little bit of autonomy for something that is, ours is from what, 2004? So it's long in the tooth, and it's gonna cost money to do a revised one, and we haven't gotten that money. I think we'd probably have more, I would assume we'd have more weight, if you will, getting money from the state to do it if we did it as a combined. But again, that's gonna be a council decision,
yeah.
so.
And it would be a council decision on the other side, I think.
It
Mike,
would,
as
yeah, it would
well,
have
so
to be
Salem would get
both
involved.
councils, yeah.
Yeah. My sense in the few discussions I've had with Salem counselors on transportation-related issues is that they're not so provincial as to completely believe that Kaiser should be Kaiser and Salem should be Salem on this. I think they recognize how many transportation connections there are sufficient to making that work. That having been said, personally, this really intrigues me, and I absolutely see the benefits to go through. I think there is a question of how you finesse it through both the Kaiser City Council and the Salem City Council as independent bodies to work together. Not to say that we couldn't, absolutely, just that it's maybe the one thing that that takes a little bit extra legwork in making it all happen. Beyond that, though, you're right that if our TSP is 20 years old, that almost serves nobody at this point. It's a dead document as it relates to the growth of Kaiser.
Yeah, I agree.
But the things that are on the list are still not completed.
Correct. There were projects that were in there that have not been done. But I would say,
I just wanted to note that.
Yeah.
If you'd underline that, Debbie, that'd be great.
And I also think, though, that there's probably, as you alluded to, there's probably new things that haven't been put on there. And then also new best practices that aren't in that document.
Do you have any suggestions of next steps?
Well, I wouldn't mind hearing anyone's opinion about if we should even bring it to the council as an idea to work, for them to work with the city of Salem as doing a combined.
Well, a question I'd have is, I've been out of that business for a long enough time, I can't remember, are we required to have one because we are one urban growth boundary?
No, we don't have one right now. We have individuals, but I don't know what the refresh rate is supposed to be of these things.
I just want to go down the line. What is your thoughts? Yes or no?
No. I don't see it.
I
don't
say
see a
no.
reason for it for
I say no,
three
too.
intersections.
I think it'd get muddled because of grants and how you write that. It's for two different
How you
cities.
divide the money.
Yeah, there's, are they only going to give us a fourth of it?
Lucky.
Exactly. I mean, I know that they have the power to probably push things through faster than us, being a bigger city, but.
And staffing, yeah.
And staffing, yeah.
Well, I guess I'm confused now. So are you, and when I put in the projects for that safety update, I looked at, and it was called the Kaiser TSP,
Mm-hmm.
which surprised me because I thought it was the Salem Kaiser TSP. So if it is already separate, what's the question we're asking then? If it's already separate?
Because we've been denied for grants before, is it strength in numbers?
Just to update it, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is to update it,
yeah, just, but there is, excuse me, sorry.
No,
There is a point where we just get pushed back, but eventually we got to do it. And so
Well,
we will get the funding. It's just, COVID did a lot of changes. And
Well then, Madam Chair, if your question is yes or no about updating it, I would
No,
say
no, no, no,
yes.
I'm sorry, let me clarify.
Do you want to join
Do you
with
want to
Salem?
join with Salem?
Oh,
Yes or no?
Then that answer would be no.
Okay.
I have yet
Join
to
with
hear a
some.
benefit
Yeah,
to that, so I'm a no.
Wait, did somebody just say what they felt? I know I've got you three. Is Tammy, did you just say?
I did.
And I didn't hear it. Sorry, I can't hear you.
I know, I'm sorry. I have yet to hear a benefit from, to support that, so my answer is no.
Okay.
Michael?
As much as I know it's not gonna happen, I would still say yes, only because I don't see our TSP getting updated in the next 10 years, in which case we'll be at 30 years.
Noted.
I think it'll get updated well before 10 years. And after going to that just one SCATS meeting, open house on projects, and hearing such a large group of Salem residents opposing things in Kaiser, and the TSP, gets public input, we would just have tons of input against what we're wanting to do. So I say no, let's keep it separate, but I think it's important for this committee to continue, and we do have a person that's on our planning commission, and to push that we need to get it done, get the grants.
Brenda?
Yeah, I say no.
Okay, thank you. I concur with everything that we're saying here, and as I think back over the last 3 years, 3 years that I've been here, every concerned area that is on that list hasn't changed. So we do just need to somehow get support to get these on the list for fixing. Thank you. All right, let's move on to committee member input and neighborhood association reports, if we have any. Do you have anything for the good of the order, Rick?
Just that I submitted information for that metro safety update thing. I went through the TSP and I took every project that was scheduled to be done by next year and hadn't been done yet. I put all those in, and then I think there were 2 others that were on your list, and I remember conversations here too. One was that the crosswalk area over on Lock Haven at the back end of McNary. And the other was a crosswalk on Dearborn at the park. So those 2 went on in addition to all the TSP projects that weren't done yet.
Dearborn and what? Rick, I'm sorry.
At Claggett Park.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. David?
Just a couple of comments. One had to do with the neighborhood report thing we're working on. I have always opposed voting by lots, by property. I was on just a short story, on a road district in the coast, a rural area, where about 50% of our lots were owned by vacationers and people who lived in the valley. And so when we established the neighborhood association, we made it residents only voted on for example, property taxes. Because we weren't concerned by absentee owners voting to tell us, they didn't want us to spend any money at all on the roads, water projects and so on. And the same thing's true here in Kaiser. I think, for example, in the area, Kaiser Road up by Verda, where the church is, right behind that, it's a big apartment building. Hey, if all the residents in that apartment building vote to improve Kaiser Road so they can walk to the traffic circle without either falling in the ditch or getting run over, or having to walk out in the street, I think that's reasonable. It's called democracy. And so anyway, in the neighborhood associations to be by the neighborhood, the people who live there, not by somebody who owns a big lot. And we shouldn't just ask the owner of the apartment building whether or not we should fix the sidewalks in front of the apartment building. I mean, there's people living there should get the vote on whatever when we step those local improvement districts. Seems like the people that live in the apartment building have as much right to vote on that as the guy who owns the property you're talking about fixing. That's just, it gets more than an opinion. I could argue that all day. That was the main thing. There was some statistics Tammy and I were talking about. I'm a mathematician by trade. I never liked the word median when you talk about averages. I don't like it. And I couldn't remember, but the average income in the United States, average income, is around $300,000 a year. So why do we have a problem? Aren't you guys all part of the average population? Because that's the average income. Oh, did they tell you it was only 57? Well, that's a different average. So you get to pick your averages, so that's all.
Thank you. So the only thing I have to bring is the Oregon Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee is is having an event on April 24th, and I'm gonna look, Michael, I'm not looking past you.
April
24th from 6:30 to 8. It's in person at the Lloyd Center. I can email this over to you, but
Yeah.
there is a virtual one on Monday, May 1st, that I'd like us to be a part of, and wanted to see if you wanted to take that on. I just want somebody that's really involved with the bicycle part.
That'd be during the day?
Is it? No,
6:30
it's,
to 8, you said. Where did
Yeah.
you say it is, Jamie?
The Lloyd Center.
the Lloyd
Oh,
Center,
up in Portland. Okay.
but that's on April 24th, but they're having a follow-up virtual Zoom one, on Monday, May 1st.
I could probably do that, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you'll
send-
take that?
send me that, yeah.
Thank you, okay. That was all that I had. Besides, well, no, I lied. Who did this
did
little
that for
nice?
you.
You did this? This is nice. This is every neighborhood association and who is on each of the boards and where there's vacant positions. So this for me,
I just made that for you because I figured you and I have one when people come to talk, we know who to
Who's
associate
it?
them with.
I love
But
it.
if anyone else wants a copy, I can just send you the file.
Yeah, so
Okay, I will share that.
Yeah, please email it to the committee. It's nice.
is that?
She made a quick spreadsheet of each neighborhood association and who are the board members.
That's why I reached out to you to ask you how to get that information.
Okay, and you have the vacancies there too?
They're
Will
on
you
here.
send that to me too, please? I can update the website with that.
I'll send it to you and you share it with us. Does that
Okay,
work?
I will do that.
Excellent.
Did you get Chris Smith on it?
I don't remember. No.
Because we voted her in last night.
Which one are we?
Right here.
Yeah, okay, no, I didn't. I'll add her. I'll add her.
Add it and send it over to Debbie so that she can get that in there. Thank you. And that's all for me. Tammy.
I have a lot. Just a heads up there. I attended the planning commission meeting, per my issued month. Not much to report on. They just talked about draft amendments to their code relating to accessory dwelling units, cottage clusters, et cetera. So it wasn't very exciting. I don't have much to bring back from that. However, it did catch my attention that when they get developments shown to them, there's a request for comment period that we can possibly get in on as a committee if we just know when those are. Because we've been looking for that opportunity to provide input. So I got to look into that more to figure out how we do that. Okay, absolutely.
Debbie, is that something that we would have enough time for you to send us, hey, there's a comment period, and we could talk as a committee and then get a comment in?
I think the best way to deal with that is to, maybe Jamie could check with Shane, because he's the planning department, and just ask that the committee be emailed when they get something in and there's a plan, and do Dina Horner as well, okay? She's his assistant, and she's the one that would send out the notices. So if we could get you all on their email list, they could send you an email, and then you could follow up with, anything that any questions or anything.
But that would be, it's a 30-day comment period?
I don't know how. Is that me?
'Cause you-
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if we're gonna be looking to do a committee comment versus an individual, I don't know if those dates will align.
And I don't know anything about what they do over there in planning. I don't know any of the time.
Will you ask those questions and find out how much time is open in these comment periods to know if that fits our opportunities?
This is always coordinated with our meetings. Sometimes we have to do it by phone and email.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to the planning commission on the 10th, so I definitely will make
Do you want me
that
to send
question.
Shane and Dina's email to you? So you can contact them before, rather than?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, because I am not sure, there was rumblings that they might not meet in May. So I probably should just send you their email.
sounds
I'll
good.
make a note.
Okay. Tammy, I'll
Okay.
copy you on that one.
Then I went to the city council meeting on the 3rd, and not much to report back on, except that the Lava Dome presentation took place. Are we familiar with that?
Yes.
You're not. I wasn't either until I went to the meeting, and they had a,
Presentation?
yes, it was a 3D presentation, a visual aid, that's what I'm looking for. It's for the baseball fields.
Yeah.
The reason that I bring this up in this group is because adding this new feature is going to add more traffic, both pedestrian and cars. So this is something we need to keep our ear open for to determine what we're going to respond to. And if there's anything we can get ahead
Well,
of.
that has 4 lanes, so I'm not worried about it.
But Tammy,
That whole
what is
area
it?
going over.
They're putting a dome over the Little League parks. Yeah, Little League fields.
Yeah, it's an inflatable dome.
An inflatable dome.
Yeah.
And then they put artificial turf underneath it. They're doing it over 4 of the fields. And that will make it a year-round facility.
This is
And it's
the Little League fields.
501c3.
Yeah, I know it well, I built it.
Nonprofit.
I said, I built it, I know it well, yeah.
Okay, and so, yeah, there's a nonprofit who's
There's
spearheading
a
this.
question as to which fields are being covered. We're not talking about Kaiser Stadium, we're talking about the Little League,
Little League.
which is over by Kaiser
Okay.
Road.
Probably the 4 that are in the circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But the question was, is it a 2-lane road? And they're going, Kaiser Road? No, it goes up there and it's just barely 1. And then, and since we haven't done anything to it, well, at least the 1-foot drop into the parking lot's gone. But, and if you get out of your car and you're my age, I wouldn't go to a baseball game because I'm not going to sludge through the mud because there's no paths to go out to the fields. But that's okay.
There's a lot more information on it when you get there.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Next item?
I will let her speak to our neighborhood association, so I will skip that.
You took
But-
the notes, though.
Well, I can speak if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so last night we had our Northwest Kaiser Neighborhood Association. We had our speaker who was Sharice Cochrane. She's principal at Kaiser Elementary. She gave a presentation showing us how they are spearheading the bilingual classes, and they're the only one, I didn't catch if it's the only one in Kaiser or the only one in
The
Salem
only one
Kaiser.
in Kaiser.
Okay. And she showed us a video of what they're accomplishing, and it's just really impressive. And she is championing to continue this effort so that as these children who are currently in kindergarten and first grade achieving this new skill, that it will continue through even into junior high and beyond. So very fascinating. Beyond that, we just did our board members update. I'm not going to get into all those details. We had a noise complaint about the popping noises of cars that everybody's hearing these days and asking if there's anything we can do. And Counselor Kohler was there, so he read to us the statement that the mayor had put out in response to this because it had been brought up before. Long story short, it's not illegal, and Sergeant Lede can speak more to this than I even can, so there's really not a whole lot to be done. And I'm going to sum that up there. The big thing I want to talk about, and I'll make it short, and this came about from last night's meeting as well, is I'm going to champion an effort to get a crosswalk across Lock Haven, because it doesn't fit into our plan to do so. I spoke with the mayor today about it. She's in support. I spoke with Principal Jesperson. He's in support. He's been fighting for this for quite some time. And then Councilor Kohler last night gave us a direction to head so that this can come to fruition. And the concern is Lock Haven is what we know it to be, 3 lanes. And there's a whole group of people who live across the street in McNary Estates and Inland Shores, and they have no way to cross to get to the high school safely without going completely down the roadway, which nobody does. And so I've witnessed many times them darting across traffic and playing Frogger. So, and now that the gate on Newburgh is closed, limiting another access point to the school, where a lot of parents would just drop off and then continue on and so forth. I live on Newburgh, so I'm familiar with this area. Anyhow, now that that's no longer a point, there's more traffic even at both ends of McNary High School. So point is, extra traffic, still trying to cross and play Frogger. So I'm putting through an effort to do this. What I would like to do is, Mayor Clark suggests that I bring it up today, so it gets put on the list. And we're gonna bring it to council. And she says, recommends we use ARPA as an ARPA project, so we're not using street funds. So it won't fit into the Public Works budget.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how much, but Kaiser still has some of the American Rescue Plan Act funds at its disposal, which is exactly why Mayor Clark is encouraging you to go that route, Tammy, so that that all can be spent and Public Works and the street money can be held onto for potentially other projects.
So with that in mind, you're saying that there's a bucket of money. So how much is it so that if not this?
I don't know exactly how much is left within Kaiser's ARPA budget. I'd have to ask city staff.
Okay, well,
But
that's something I'm gonna.
I can speak generally to the understanding of why she wants you to go that route versus another route.
Well, then it just brings up, can we use that extra bucket, like I said, for other projects that
Can
are?
I interject?
Yes.
I mean, yes, we could suggest areas to spend it in, but I think this is a good conversation to have with Bill, because he might help push this through and be able to get the access to the ARPA funds.
I think, Madam Chair, that it would be a good idea if one person is going to talk to Bill, that they come to Bill with a recommendation from the entire committee. Like you say, it's power in numbers.
That is my motto. Go ahead, Hirsch.
This has been a project that's, the PTC from McNary came 8 years ago wanting it. And the principal at the time actually came to this committee wanting it. What's happening, and Tammy has seen things from where she lives in the neighborhood, but parents will come on Lock Haven, pull alongside, let the kids go across, and they run across Lock Haven onto Celtic Way, which is where the base of football field is. Okay. And whether it's events at night at the school, they get dropped off there. So this is not a new project, a new concern. It's an old concern that keeps coming up. So I am so much wanting to vote yes for this.
And that's one of the projects I added to the
Yes, you did
Metro
mention
thing
that.
too.
Yeah. I was just thinking, that was the first project, the first year I was on the committee in 2005,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
That was on one of the things we had to vote on.
Michael, you had a comment?
I have a question.
Takes a
So
while.
The crosswalk or whatever, what are you envisioning? Are you envisioning just zebra stripe, or are you envisioning lights and concrete?
The flashing beacon is what I'm gonna want. Because yes, just having a crosswalk is not enough.
Right.
We need something that draws attention to the fact somebody's crossing the road.
Yeah. Okay, well, if I could tack on for another Lock Haven thing, I think at Verda, there's bus stops there, and there's no signalized crossing on Verda from 14th to River Road. And that's a pretty unsafe
Well, this
street.
is where the bucket of money question comes
Yeah.
in, is how many of these can we fund?
Without getting into the bucket of money, I'm aware, Michael, that there is a plan to, okay, Kathy would hit me with a brick if I said the word plan, but there is a concept of potentially paving a road through some of that property one day to connect things a little more extensively up into, I think that's Trail Avenue right there. So,
That's on the 50-year plan.
Is that?
all that to say that a crosswalk there, has not gone unnoticed in the past, or at least something in between 14th and River Road, like you were referring to, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, it may not have gone unnoticed, it just also has gone unbuilt.
This is
Okay.
no argument for me on that point.
Does anybody want to, it sounds like the committee is in agreement that this is something we would like to request. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I will make a motion, Madam Chair. I move that we move ahead with a crossing with lights at Lock Haven and Celtic Way.
Well,
A formal request.
For-
Yeah.
Form,
You want to, the TSP to recommend.
can I correct this statement, though?
oh,
We don't want it at Celtic Way because there's, and Principal Jesperson requested specifically that we don't want it there because that would stop the cars from turning out, creating tons
Right, okay.
of backlog. So we're looking at moving it like up the road more, so, but not too close to the curve either, so there's like a
so
sweet spot in
between
there.
Celtic Way and Newburgh,
No, the other way,
the other way.
Between Celtic Way and River Road?
yeah.
Celtic Way and,
See, you're making the distances shorter instead, you're making the other one longer.
there is a crosswalk with, during school, with a crossing guard.
Yes.
At McClure.
Yes,
Where I've seen the problems is right there at Celtic Way and a little bit east. So if we put one in, I understand what he's saying. I'm suggesting maybe about where the baseball
right.
Cages are.
Yeah, that's where I was
Okay.
picturing when I went through there
Okay.
today. Because you don't want it too close to the curve, you don't want it
Okay.
too close to
Then I
the exiting
concur.
traffic.
Okay.
Second.
Please,
First
can,
move that the Traffic Safety Bikeways Committee recommend a crossing with a flashing beacon between, on River Road.
On
Lock
Lock
Haven.
Haven.
Yeah, okay, yes, I wrote that wrong. Okay, hold on, let me fix that. Okay, beacon, because then you changed it, it wasn't, not Celtic Way. On Lock Haven, where the baseball cages are.
Okay,
Does that
Yes.
sound right?
yes.
That's a good
thank you.
description.
nice, and I second it.
Okay.
Thank you. Vote from the committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Oppose? Passes. With
Tammy's gonna take care of this?
Yeah.
I mean, was that?
Well,
Tammy,
yes, but what's the next step?
literally,
Yeah.
so the next step is that we just gave you our support to go to Bill and let him know that we have a motion from the committee in support of a beacon crosswalk light
Thingy.
on Lock Haven.
Bring it to council.
Okay.
To bring it to council to, and use ARPA funds.
Actually, you know, that's what our counselor here is supposed to do.
There you
But
go.
You could go to Bill too, but when you would do your report, or whoever does their report at their, who's reporting? Jamie?
Fine. I'll do it.
I
I
can
tried to.
I can give people a heads up. Tammy, feel free to CC me onto emails with Bill.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to help provide visibility to, hey, this is coming. Let the people know for sure. Jamie,
Okay.
your council report will hold significant weight. I think the one stipulation, and I'm still learning my job a little bit, that not necessarily the thing you want to hear someone say on this side of the dais, I understand, but I'm still trying to figure out how to get things done as well, and the best way that I've found so far is letting city staff know as quickly and as broadly as possible, especially with respect to Mr. Lawyer and Mr. Brown as well, in his position as city manager. That way they all can coordinate internally with Mike, with others, to ensure that they're speaking on the very specific and targeted request of the committee.
Okay, so you'll see an email coming.
Thank you. Tammy?
The email. Yeah, I'll do the email to Bill. I'll copy Jamie and I'll copy Counselor Husband.
Email Bill and Adam Brown.
Okay. And the mayor? Okay.
Did you talk to her about it?
I did talk to her about it.
Just a piece
Yeah,
of for
because she's
your
in
information.
support of it
Okay,
too.
okay.
All right, thank you.
But
Where am I?
I should add too that when I've spoken with Mr. Brown, Adam, he's been requesting that we keep him in the loop on a number of these potential projects. That way, he can do some resource coordination of his own. So
Okay.
Mr. Lawyer's going to look at it maybe a little more from the technical aspects of what it is that Public Works has in its arsenal, but then Mr. Brown is also overseeing the broader project list of the city as well. So
Thank you.
hopefully that helps as far as how they're trying to divide and conquer over there.
No, I love it. I love
No,
the team
and
effort.
I think the pandemic has really made it so that we're getting our eyes open to who we should get involved and to move things forward. So thank you. Thank you for that insight. Because we have felt kind of alone and just saying, we know there's problems, so thanks.
I just have one more thing and then I'll hand the baton off. When I spoke with Mayor Clark today, she asked me to bring up one more time the need for a flashing beacon at the traffic circle because of the students who cross there and the unsafeness of it, the danger.
At where? I mean, there's 4 crosswalks.
Well, we can ask the neighborhood association. They know more specifically than I do.
Yeah,
Right,
if somebody go up and look and see where the kids are coming from, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just bringing up a
Thank you.
note to put
Yeah,
it back
just
on
wanted-
record. I don't have specifics. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank you. First, I hope you don't think I was criticizing you when I said the thing's not unbuilt, because you're just getting here. You're not responsible for something that hasn't been built yet for however many years. But I wanted to say, so after last meeting, I had brought to Mike about when we do our restriping annually of the roads, what about putting buffers on some bike lanes? And he mentioned that it's probably something that an engineer has to look at and put their stamp on. And that's true, which is kind of baffling to me that an engineer has to tell you to put a line of paint, but that's just the way it is. But my thought is, and please chime in, is can we get the city to, and as part of their annual painting program, which I know they contract out, to maybe do some studies of where we can start putting in some bike lane buffers. And maybe even painting the lanes themselves, like where there's an intersection and it's not always apparent to a driver that the bike lane is continuing
Michael,
through here.
I think this is a good thing. My thought process here is we need to put this in a
Item.
spreadsheet item.
Okay.
But I need your guidance on where you think those are, or Hirsch, our bike, or any of the biking community.
Right, and we can do that for sure.
Let's start there because I can't go to them with what you're just like, can you please put some lines in? No.
Well, and
like,
I'm
I
just
need to know where.
and that's what I wanted to hear,
Okay.
people's thoughts of what steps do we need to take?
Okay, should we put that on, that you're making, you would like us to put on that as an item for next meeting?
Sure, because
Okay.
I know it's not going to work in this budget year, of course, but. it's-
Right, but I think the development of it, as we power in numbers, and I think if we can clearly show the areas that are of concern, will only help us in our good work.
Yeah.
Hirsch, do you have anything for the good of the order?
I'll try to make it somewhat simple. Neighborhood association meeting, Tammy did mention we had some traffic safety issues. And to elaborate a little more, not only sound on Lock Haven, but there was a couple, one resident that felt that there might be racing on Lock Haven.
Oh, my goodness.
Like they have in Portland that occurred. And then at McNary High School, they're flipping cookies and stuff at night in there and making quite a bit of noise. So I thought we're gonna bring that up. That if there is racing going on in Lock Haven, and it's not me on my bicycle. So, also, May 4th, again, is Thursday night bike ride. Marianne and I are leading family-oriented bike rides from the Big Toy at 6:30, just doing either 6 or a 12-mile loop. Special thanks to Mike and Robert for fixing the bike repair station. The pump works great. Thank you. June 2nd is a planned bicycle skills fair, safe routes to school at Harrod Elementary. And Sergeant Leday, you and I need to get together and start doing the planning for our June 10th bike skills fair here at Kaiser Civic Center. Maybe you look at your schedule, maybe we can get together next week or something and get things going, because this weather kind of makes me not think of cycling.
Supposed to get nice next week.
Yeah, so, and then I did attend the SCATS meeting, and for the long-range plan. Plus, I had a brief meeting with Mr. Griffin and on the signage project that, I don't know how many years ago we started that, but it looks like on the Parkway, it's a go.
All right.
Great. And I got he actually could read my old notes. Mary Ann said, God, I need to talk to Mike.
So thanks for your input on that, Hirsch. The next steps will be to take that information to Marion County Sign Shop, and then they will figure out the design and the layout, and then we'll get a cost for that. And then I'll get that information to Bill and installation cost, and then that will be forwarded to Jenna with ODOT, and we'll move forward with that. So it's going.
It's in the works.
It's in the work, and it's
In the public
another
works.
project that was recommended a long time ago, and special thanks to Patty Rogers for her, used to be Fisher, but she was the big ramrod on this project, so.
Thank you. Brenda, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to circle back real quick, and Debbie had sent some email to the committee, I'm not sure. It says, please see the transmittal below. This is a pretty cool and timely, since we have the Bike Skills Fair coming up and the Kaiser birthday party. Speaking of which, does the committee want to have a booth at the party? If so, someone needs to fill out the volunteer form. How does the committee feel?
What party? Say that again. Give me a date.
I'm looking for the date.
June 16th.
Party is June 16th and 17th.
Yeah,
Friday
June
and
2nd,
Saturday.
here.
I think the booth will be mostly on Saturday. Friday is a dance. And there's on our website, there's a place you can click on and fill out an application.
Yeah.
It's telling them that you want to have the bike skills fair. I thought that this committee always likes to pass out or distribute safety information, and that website that I sent you all looked like that was all, you could order some. And so you have materials to pass out if you wanted to.
Okay.
I'm going to be ordering a whole bunch through,
That's what
yeah, just for our own supply, because David and I look through our supplies and most of our stuff is old.
The good stuff is gone.
Yeah, and when I
I
was.
got a
at-
lot of bad stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
junky
I-
stuff.
When I was at the traffic safety, they all said, hey, here's all the new stuff. So we'll have a huge supply.
Okay, so you'll be taking care, I don't want it to duplicate it. so-
No, because we have a supply for all of our events.
Bicycle stuff.
Okay.
So first you're gonna order?
Mhm.
Okay.
Heidi's already talked to me about it, and they just ship it to my house.
He's got an empty garage.
But do we want to
No, I don't.
volunteer? Do we, do you, do,
Do you want to booth at the, and I can fill it out for you if you want me to do your volunteer
You
form.
want to do it, Herb?
I'm doing the Tour de France that weekend.
Oh, well,
So you got that, somebody who's gonna be there at the.
I can, I'll do it. Well, I mean, I'll, somebody else
yeah,
should
I would
show
like
up.
to add any other people that might want
We
to
have a
help out
tent, a
on the
table,
11th.
a bunch of brochures, and yeah, I have everything.
Yeah, June 16th is what I was told.
Is that David?
In Tour de France.
Anybody?
June 16th, that's a
You don't know?
Friday, you said,
No,
Saturday?
it's the
It's a-
17th, the Saturday thing, it would be
Yeah.
the 17th, yeah.
Saturday,
Okay.
the 17th?
17th, from not, what time, any times on it?
June
I
17th?
don't know too much about that, yeah.
Okay, I'll just assume I'll be there at 9, and I'll go home at 3. There,
There it is.
And I'll have all the pad
I'll
stuff.
get it from you.
Okay.
By, before then, yeah.
Yeah.
If you will, fill out the form for us to attend.
Okay, can I make you the contact, Jamie?
Yes,
You're the chair, okay.
yes. You're not funny.
Too love you being the chair.
My goodness. He's over here hazing me.
We're supposed to put him at the end where he can't.
He
talk.
is.
I know, I
Don't,
think-
yeah. Okay, next on the list is, Mike Griffin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got a couple of visual aids to pass out real quick and to discuss the safety concern that was brought to our attention recently, we can talk about. There's enough for the, I just gave it to you to look at, I think. There's a couple left over here.
I will need that for my file.
Sorry. Greenwood Drive North.
So recently, a safety concern was brought to our attention at the south end of Brooks Avenue where it curves and turns into Candlewood. It's a pedestrian bicycle concern, and there is a tie-in to the Parkway pathway right there. Public Works does not feel that a solar speed display is warranted in this situation, but a 12-inch yellow amber flashing light in either direction with a curve sign would satisfy and take care of the curve here. So what I'm asking for is the committee to discuss this and then make a motion, and we'll go from there to recommend to council as you deem fit.
I can't remember, is that a gravel access to the bike?
No.
No.
Parkway bike path?
It's paved.
It's paved? Okay.
But David, if I may, sorry to interrupt, the Salem exhaust driveway has some gravel on it, so there's no sidewalk there on that one part kind of entering their driveway.
Is the committee in support of having this beacon, flashing beacon put at the curve?
One on each, is it, am I
It
looking at
says
this
two.
right, two of
It
them?
says two, for $5,566.
Do we have any information about how often that's used? Just out of curiosity. I have no idea if anybody's ever used that, you know?
You mean the bike access?
Yeah,
I've used it,
okay.
and I know.
Well, I used it once too, but I just wondered,
And in the plan for the signage, we have specific signage for that spot.
okay, good. That makes sense then.
I would like to ask Southeast Kaiser, what do they think of this?
It's a very narrow, tight corner, and if you drop off on the inside corner, the pavement's kind of narrow, if you drop off into kind of a ditch there.
I could see if somebody's coming off the bike path quickly. That'd make nice if they're slowed down.
There's a post there, so as a cyclist, you're going to have to slow down. In fact, as I talked with Mike about the post there, maybe changing the size, because it's a good size one. Now, ODOT put this all in.
Yeah, it's their property, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Who brought up the concern, Mike?
The mayor.
I talked to us.
Michael, did you have comment?
So this is a beacon with a curve sign to tell drivers to slow down for the curve or to slow down because.
Correct. Just like we have in Shamawa coming in just before the roundabout, we put up a solar flashing that it's a 12-inch, pretty good size amber that just blinks. It says, warning, there's a curve ahead.
Okay. I like that because it fits in with the signage thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Tammy, go ahead.
I'm just curious, does this just then fit into the list, or does this bump something else off the list, or how does this funding fit in?
Just something the mayor.
I was asked to bring it to you guys to discuss, and if it's something that we want to move forward, to make a motion and recommendation to council that we do this.
Have we had any injuries or anything?
Any incidents?
Yeah,
Have you heard
that
of
we
this?
know of? I don't think so.
The only thing I've ever heard is somebody hitting that post.
Every time I've gone through there, there's nobody there, no cars there.
I don't know.
Here's, and I'm all in favor of flashing lights everywhere we can put them. But on the other hand, right at the end of Kaiser Road where you can access the bike path next to the elementary school, and I know that's heavily used, and that the corner's just as bad and the road conditions are worse.
And it's gonna
And
be
no,
worse.
and I guess I should keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
About why we picked, of all the things we had to do, why that one popped up, and I guess I don't need to ask why.
Thank you, David. I think I'm just going to ask the committee, do they want time to think about this and bring it to the next meeting? Or does anybody want to support a motion in support? Okay, we'd like to bring this to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I think my personal concerns, just so that they're out there, is that I know of different areas that could possibly use this. I don't think this one is actually it, but that's my personal opinion. Sleep on it for 30 days and bring it back. Right, thanks.
If anything, we get it over at Alder. Some
Right.
flashers and
Yeah.
stuff over at Alder.
Yeah. Did you have anything else, Mike?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. The ADA ramps that are going along Cherry Avenue, that process has begun and the contractor's doing a great job. So
Yeah.
sorry when I say I didn't have anything, that one real quick, so.
No, I do want to actually comment on that. They are doing a great job. They are putting up the
work.
you know, the accessible things so they can get up and down even while they're putting those in. And they're very cautious with the little, I don't know what they're called, the safety things. They're yellow, they're orange.
Cones?
The cones.
Okay, I was thinking.
It's been a very long day for me,
No.
just so.
No, and that's good to hear, thank you, because they're doing a good job and we haven't heard any
Mike,
complaints, so.
Want to comment?
Well, I wanted to second the part about the safety ramps. That's great that they're in there. I had a question. So where some of these are going in, the curve's pretty shallow. Was there ever any discussion about, oh, you're tearing apart that corner, making sharper corners?
No,
They
we're
were
just trying
engineered,
not to
they
get sued.
were, and some consideration, I'm sure, was put into that, but specifically at it. Sure, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I just have a question for Mike.
Tammy?
So back to a comment earlier about the apartments and whether or not they factor in on the petition we've been discussing. Can you give us some insight on how that works now that we have apartments? I think when this was written, we really didn't have multi-family housing like we do now.
For the traffic plan and.
Yeah.
I-
You don't know?
Something to discuss.
I can give,
Okay.
I
I
can
mean-
give some history on that. We were asked to wait until the construction happened and see what they build out and what kind of walkway was happening.
No, I mean, as far as the plan itself, as David brought up, who do we ask? How many people in an apartment building have to support the plan?
You're asking a bigger question that we're gonna move to a different night.
Right, no, that's fine. I just wanted to
Thank
know
you.
if this is something,
If you will bring that up at the next meeting, only, and I say that only because we could be here for another hour.
I'm not even sure who answers it, so I just wanted to throw it out there.
Do you want this on the agenda?
Please.
Yes.
What is it, traffic impact of apartments on Verdale?
No, just how an apartment factors into the,
Because I don't think they do. They don't own any property, so
They don't get a
right,
say.
that's what I'm
they
wondering.
don't get a say.
They don't get a say.
That's why I don't want to talk about
But
this
does it say that in
tonight.
here? Where is that said?
I don't think it said.
It says property.
It says when you vote on something based on the property owners will, like in the,
Oh, it says property owner?
Yeah.
I missed
well,
that,
the
okay.
number, each lot gets one vote or whatever, something to that effect.
Sure,
Please
but
add
does
in.
it say specifically property owner? I'll look at it again. I'll
Look at it
And
again.
we'll talk about it later.
Please put it on the
I
agenda
just-
for
yes.
next month. Thank
Because
you.
that's something we need to put in.
Police liaison report from Sergeant Lede, please.
Okay, see that? Okay. It says residents.
Residents.
Again, next time we need to discuss that, to get on record how that calculates.
it on the-
Thank you.
You guys are
So as
fighting
of this
today.
month, we've actually had 8 traffic crashes that have occurred, 2 of which have been on private parking lots. What I told you is I would bring causations in so everybody would have a better understanding as far as how these crashes are occurring. Of the parking lot crashes, one was actually in McNary High School with a motorcycle. Another one was actually in, it was the 595 Shamawa. And that one was ruled a careless driving with inside. So when you talk about people doing cookies and things like that in a parking lot and something happens, that's the aspect where we can get in. It being private property, especially at nighttime like McNary. So if it's an open area, unless McNary wants something enforced, there's not a lot we can do. If
But
they
they do
endanger somebody during that action,
Right.
then there's something that we can do.
We were told that the McNary has the school district has the security people, and you can call them.
Yep, that's completely correct. And then, because McNary's closed at nighttime, it's not premises open to the public. So if they would be in an area that's premises open to the public, there is a noise ordinance portion as far as that excessive noise from the vehicle that we could get them for spinning the tires. But shy of that unless it's in that premises open to the public. So it gets, we start splitting hairs at different times, of the evening and stuff when things start closing down because McNary doesn't allow people to come onto their property during those off hours. So if there's no school events going on or anything else like that. Of those other 8, just about every one of our crashes were angle crashes. So Alder and Pleasant View, we had a fail to drive within a lane, distracted driving. Again, so we're hitting parked cars. So people are getting distracted driving down the roadway, hitting parked cars. They're not speed-related issues, but at 25 miles an hour, when you hit a parked car, it still does a little bit of damage there. River and Claggett, another distracted driving. Dearborn and Rickman, we actually had a medical event that was the cause of the crash where somebody actually passed out behind the wheel. Along River Road, we've had one dangerous left turn that was intersection related. So that's not that they're running the red light, that's that they have to yield to oncoming traffic
Was
and
that
they
the
make
one
that
at Main?
quick left turn.
It's where they actually flipped over.
No.
River and Main Street was a careless driving. So that was actually, they pulled out from Main,
Yeah.
actually made a wide turn, actually clipped a car that was waiting in the center lane and actually just rolled up the wheel and went onto its side. So, I mean, it was, the dynamics in that one there is like you couldn't plan it any better as far as being able to just get the outside edge of that wheel to roll over, kind of like how a Jersey barrier on a freeway is designed where it's to keep you within that lane. I mean, so again, speed wasn't a factor in that one there other than just not very good driving.
So the
Is
Alder,
that a
and-
box you check somewhere?
so the Alder and Pleasant View one, that's on the curve, right? Going towards Cherry?
Alderman, It's right in that general area, yes. And then what I didn't mention was that the person was just about twice the legal limit also on a DUI.
Okay, that's good to know too, and I think what I am noting that one is, we don't get many, it's very tight there, but we don't get many issues that are happening, so.
And the one on Meadow Ridge, which was, I failed to maintain that lane, was also another DUI.
Okay.
So of the 8, 2 of them were DUIs.
Okay, wow. Thank you.
Also new, I'm not sure if it got mentioned in the last meeting with Officer Powell, but we do have 2 new officers now that are certified in child safety seat installations. Marion County right now is #1 within the state as far as losing kids in that age range where they should be in child passenger seats. So we're trying to actually contribute a little bit to that aspect of it. Kaiser Fire has 1 certified tech, and so we're gonna try and join with them to put on some safety seat clinics throughout the rest of the year.
Do you want to do it, have a booth at the Bike Skills Fair?
Well, I got one guy that's gonna help you out with that who's bilingual who would have to do both. So I don't know if he's got enough hats to be able to put on in that one.
That's true. You may have pamphlets and information on it.
Absolutely, we'll have that.
Thank you. Council liaison report. Council Husselman.
Thank you all so much. Michael, to your earlier point, the fact is that because I'm in an elected seat, I get to be blamed for all the previous failures of administrations before, so no harm, no foul, I promise you.
Noted.
It was a really busy past Monday for those who were in attendance who got to see what transpired, which I would argue was pretty substantial. It's all right by Ms. Lockhart. I'd like to approach the dais with an exhibit. Okay, so it may have been broadcast well to this group, maybe not, but the Kaiser City Council voted unanimously, so my vote was included, to update the master plan for what's known as Kaiser Station Area D. You may know that as the vacant plot of land south of Chick-fil-A and the 7-Eleven gas station, adjacent to where the water tower is. So what I'm going to show everybody is just the master plan from that exhibit that was brought before us with some of the changes. There are 6 buildings in total on the side with a bunch of parking.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A and gas station are on this side. So
Are any of those, none of it's apartment, okay.
yeah, none of it's apartment, all commercial. One is designated specifically as a hotel.
The land is owned by the tribe.
Yes, Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde and Confederated Tribes of Siletz.
Owns the land.
Yeah, it's a joint
Yeah.
ownership, so everybody can see just in case. All right. So that's a great question. We do not have a set date as to when ground might break on a specific building. What the city council did was confirm the site plan, so the approximate location of the 6 buildings is pretty well set in stone as a footprint. Groundbreaking will occur later once they go through the permitting process and the planning process with Mr. Witham. It's expected to take a couple years at least before the first thing comes up. I will be candid with you all. This is a pretty substantial piece of economic development.
Yeah.
A hotel, one spot is considered an automotive shop along the Les Schwab. A couple of the buildings are designated to be parceled out for restaurants, potential retail spaces. This is a substantial addition to what Kaiser Station already has going on.
I can't believe there's a second hotel.
Okay, so there's really no access to the city of Kaiser other than the current intersection.
That is correct, David, yes.
Okay, well, I was wondering is if somehow or other they were coming backdooring it into,
Another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
over the tracks, under the tracks.
The tribe will be developing that land with a the hotel and everything, and then as Tammy mentioned, the Lava Dome on the other side. Is there not a proposal to work with Burlington Northern to build a tunnel underneath?
Oh, you spoiled what I was
Oh.
going to say.
You like
So good, but yes, in my little class presentation, which again, thank you all for the indulgence and performative movement around here, but I wanted everybody to see it because it is going to make an impact. Yes, absolutely. Part of the excitement around the idea for that third hotel, the hotel space on Area D, is the idea that people with travel ball teams or Little League teams are going to come, stay at the hotel, and then potentially use the fields. Question, how are they going to get there? Well, it's actually kind of hard to get there by a car because you have to take Ulali Drive all the way through, back around until you can exit Kaiser Station proper and then get to Chamala, and then from Chamala you essentially hit McLeod to follow along the ridge. So that's cumbersome. And of all people, I mean, I was going to bring it up too because I'm a big fan of undercrossings myself, but Councilman Kohler, noted occasional opponent of my fantasies around biking and pedestrian access, decided to actually draw on his master plan copy the exact same thing. He wanted to put an undercrossing in near the hotel, and frankly, there is, I would expect, significant momentum around that from the standpoint of the council. We, as a general body, are going to most likely advocate for that because we see where it's all going.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be just a ton of people that want to access these facilities. So that has to be considered absolutely. An undercrossing, which means the railroad will have to be involved through negotiations. There is likely to be some negotiation around Ridge Drive and kind of the ghost of Ridge Drive where it exists along the curve where the new Kaiser Station apartments are. So that potentially becomes part of an overall transportation plan. From there, you have the MLK Junior Parkway path, which right now, you could kind of see it in the perspective, but there's not exactly any indication of connecting it further into the property in Area D. I assume many people here have been on the path, but the notion is that it follows along kind of at an intersection and then it runs tangential to Ulali Drive along the extended sidewalk. There's not the curb cut there, but I ride my bike on the property, so I would just ride it on the sidewalk until I hit Kaiser.
That's not going to be in the city of Kaiser.
That is not correct. That would
So
be
this is
totally
somebody else gets the property tax then. I mean, this new addition that's going on. So it's not ever gonna
Oh,
be
no, no.
city property.
Sorry, this property is within the footprint of the city of Kaiser, yes.
But it belongs to the tribe.
Yes, they
So,
own the property.
but do we get to tax them then?
They don't get done.
That's,
Because I'm just curious, because if they're not or don't want to, they could do, so they're the ones going to put the tunnel on. We're not gonna get involved in any expenses for their development, is that correct?
not necessarily,
But we
the
might.
city may be in a position to influence based upon what type of access we need.
So we may end up paying for the tunnel.
Possibly.
So, there.
I'm in support of it. Just seeing how much traffic is happening now in order to get them back and forth in a timely manner would definitely help get them there on time. I don't know. But just deter from the traffic that we're already seeing starting to accumulate.
Yeah, awesome, Jamie. And a lot of this, again, is way speculative because some of this may be half a decade down the road. But again, it was brought up consistently that for all of these facilities to be maximized, including the businesses that may potentially move into these new buildings on Area D, multimodal access would absolutely be a piece of the equation. Hirsch.
having worked, being on transit when I was, the tribe's pretty good to work with on transportation issues. And they have held off for a long time on that property till they knew what they wanted and what could make money. So,
Michael?
During the meeting the other night, had there been any discussion about massing the buildings? So they're more condensed, especially, not the tire shop, of course, but you've got a hotel. You're gonna have maybe some restaurant and some other retail. Just would make more aesthetic and convenience sake to have them closer. I'm looking at that, I see them spread apart by somewhat large parking areas.
Oh, most definitely. I would chalk that up as a straight up weakness of the council as far as us discussing massing the buildings a little closer together. We ultimately approved a site plan change so that this footprint could be acceptable. It's not to say that we couldn't necessarily go back and amend this again. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily think that'll be a part of it. We'll see how it goes. What then is incumbent upon us is, can we inform the tribes to the extent of how good they're going to have it with this parcel of land, the fact that it's going to get so much use, and we all can see it. We've seen what's happened in Kaiser Station and its development. So then, what is truly the best way to move people around, or, Sergeant Lene, create the conditions where in cars people are also moving safely through Eulalie Drive, Kaiser Station, Chemawa Road, over the overpass. Nobody, I think, wants traffic bleeding into the neighborhoods or affecting the I-5 on and off ramps, which we could all certainly imagine this, and it doesn't take a leap of imagination to get to that conclusion. Pretty logical that this development, while the council was unanimous in approving a master plan change, and you can ask them, they're pretty excited about the possibilities. They're not so naive as to believe that traffic will not be an issue. Absolutely it will. So then it's truly a team effort, I think, in terms of how it is that we present safe opportunities for accessing everything so that drivers have safe and consistent areas of access, so that pedestrians, cyclists, rollers can use the site effectively, and also so that it integrates Kaiser's transportation network. Because it's not lost on any of us that Kaiser Transit Center is kitty corner to this, across from Chemawa and up. We'd want to activate Kaiser Station a little bit, and I know Chariots is right there with that as well. I've talked to Ian Davidson at Chariots a little bit about similar concerns around this very site. Add that into the Lava Dome discussion, which they actually had a couple of comments in our Monday City Council meeting about the fact that maybe kids and parents would ride a bike out to the Little League fields every now and again if there were facilities to do so. Basically, just if there were Staples or somewhere where they could set the bike and have it be in a reasonable place. So, none of this is exactly helpful because a lot of it's so broad, conceptual. No one's digging a shovel into the ground anytime soon. But for this committee's purpose, I would argue this is exactly where the committee wants the discussion to go overall. The transportation network and the different ways in which Kaiser Station, city, neighborhoods, parks, Little League fields are all connecting together is really starting to coalesce. And that's what made Monday so momentous, is that we did take a step toward making that happen, a couple of steps. We can't exactly waste it, right?
Right.
I know you all will put pressure on me. You're good at that. I've seen how these go. And frankly, we need everybody to step up and put a little pressure on the council to that effect, to say, hey, it's, we know how good we're going to have it. We know how prosperous everything is going to be. So what does it mean to put our best foot forward with this expected prosperity?
Oh, Councilman Husselman. Sorry about that. I am
Every day.
very tired. I'm excited that you're letting us view this now. We have not been given a lot of opportunities to see developments and where we can be of assistance. And I do see a conduit through you in bringing these to our attention as they come. And anything that we can help with by looking at that and maybe giving some ideas, we're definitely want to be involved. So thank you.
Awesome, yeah. We'll do my best as I go forward here, and I don't want anybody to be unprepared for some of these changes, especially something as seismic as fleshing out Kaiser Station through building up of Area D. It's too big. And
Yeah.
we know where the big development spots are going to be in town until the urban growth boundary changes, as I know some people want it to.
And some of us don't.
And some of us don't.
Well, the long-range planning for Kaiser said no. And yet, for some reason, people keep going, I'm gonna do it anyway.
See me after class, David, but it's true. There's a lot of expectation around where development is. Monday was a big unlock because it was to my knowledge, it was the first time the city council had fully seen what that master plan would be. And then, I mean, shoot, every aspect of the city is touched upon in Sergeant Leday. You know what that's going to create for resource allocation related to the police force. My public works obviously will be heavily involved, especially since that side too, coupled with the Little League fields, is interesting in terms of a water and stormwater perspective. Certainly major considerations there. So yeah, it'll be a multi-agency, multi-level effort to make Kaiser the absolute best it would be, and we at least got a little advance notice on what some of that's gonna look like.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, appreciate you letting me take the show on the road.
All right, well then, this, last thing on here is other business. I will be attending the council meeting on May 1st and the planning commission on May 10th. Our next meeting is May 18th, and we are adjourned. Thank you.